Jesse, we're all set.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm calling to order the Narragansett Town Council regular meeting, June 7th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Men, born and unborn.
Okay, we'll start with the disclosure of executive session votes. We did have one vote in executive session. There was a motion to appeal the ruling in the case of Narragansett 2100 versus the town of Narragansett. Motion by Councilor Cicilline-Bonanno, seconded by Councilor Murray. Motion failed, 0-5. Okay, we have no approval of minutes.
Jesse, there was a second, there was the motion to seal the minutes.
Right, okay, sorry about that. We also had a motion to seal the minutes. Janet, do you know who made that motion and who seconded?
I have Susan and Patrick.
All
Correct.
right. And motion passes 5-0. Thanks, Janet. All right, so we'll go right to announcements and presentations. First, we're going to start with Thomas Hoagland from the Friends of Kanatsu Farm. Welcome, Tom.
Hello.
How's it going?
All right. Very good. You can hear me then? I guess I can go.
Yep, you can
All right.
go. And if you need any help from Dan sharing your screen or anything, just let him know.
Dan has been a great resource for me. He's been in touch. Thank you. All right. Good evening. I'm Tom Hoagland. I'm president of the Friends of Kanatsu Farm. I want to thank the town council, Jim Tierney, Steve Wright, and the members of their staff for the opportunity to make this presentation tonight. I've prepared a few slides with some facts, figures, and pictures. Here goes the technology. We'll see how that goes. Dan, do I have the ability to share screen yet?
Yes, yep, you do. Should see the green button on the bottom of the screen there.
I hit that. I'm
And
getting
that's-
a message that says I have to block or allow. Allow. I'm grayed out. I can't do it.
Oh, I can do it for you.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
Find the right one.
All right.
1 second. Got so much stuff open here. Gotta find it.
All right.
Here you go.
Can I go back up to number 1 there? I don't seem to have any controls. So Ariel, thank you very much. All right. And so I'll just say, change the screen for me. All right, Dan?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. For the past 5 years, Friends of Kanatsu Farm, under an agreement with the town council signed in September 2016, have been tasked with removing invasive plants from the shores of Lake Kanatsu and along the nature trail that winds from the beach to the community center. I'm here tonight to ask for a renewal of that agreement that would extend our beneficial relationship with the town for another 10 years. As I know well how busy you all are and how long these meetings tend to last, my remarks will be brief, but I do want to show you a short video at the end that we prepared over the winter for just this purpose that will illustrate the dedication of our volunteers and the amazing results they've achieved. Next screen, please. Friends of Kanatsu Farm was formed in 2007 by a group of concerned citizens who loved the property and were in opposition to the proposal at that time to develop the property as a polo field. After the polo field proposal was defeated, the Friends of Kanatsu Farm then evolved into an environmental organization devoted to restoring the natural ecosystem of the property by fighting the rising tide of invasive plants that were infesting the lake shores and the interior nature trail. This slide illustrates our major accomplishments over the lifetime of the initial 5-year agreement between the town of Narragansett and the Friends of Kanatsu Farm. We are entirely a volunteer organization, and all of the monies we raise from our membership and from outside grants go directly to tools, maintenance, and improvements in the property. The 4,250 volunteer hours recorded during the period of the existing agreement is the statistics that we are most proud of because it represents true citizen commitment to the environment and the town of Narragansett. Next slide, please. Just a little detail behind these. These are the first bullet point. There are 3 high-quality artistic and educational signs that are now installed on the property thanks to grants from the Rhode Island Foundation. The native plant gardens at the museum were rehabilitated last October with a grant from the South County Garden Club. The new garden should be at its peak in September of this year. Legislative grants received from the Rhode Island State Senate, presented by Senator Bridget Valverde's office, paid for the professional treatment of invasive Phragmites reeds on the shores of Lake Kanatsu in 2020. We have distributed nearly 700 copies of our full-color invasive plant guide. It is free and available at local libraries, garden centers, Narragansett Town Hall, and the Senior Center. Its development and printing were funded by private contributions in memory of our board member, Ray Kagels. Next slide, please. Friends of Kanatsu Farm works hard at being a valuable community partner to multiple environmental and educational organizations in South County, and we hope to broaden the scope of our partnership in the years to come. The long-anticipated plan for a linear park, for instance, along the eastern shore of Lake Kanatsu, as detailed in the 2010 Kanatsu Farm Master Plan, is moving along. Our volunteers recently completed a new trail segment near the Senior Center that bypasses a badly eroded and hazardous section that abutted the bike path extension. And in cooperation with the Narragansett Engineering Department, we now have a comprehensive up-to-date map of the property at both trail kiosks. Next slide, please. The slide doesn't do the new map justice. Check it out instead at one of the kiosks at the west parking lot or behind the Senior Center. Our thanks to Glenn Blacklock of the Town Engineering Department for his hard work and expertise. Now, the video that Dan is about to show you was filmed last October and illustrates the work of our dedicated volunteers and the impact they have had on restoring the habitat and the incredible natural beauty of the Kanatsu Farm Nature Trail. During COVID, the trail provided a safe outlet for recreation for many Narragansett and South County residents. Okay, Dan, take it away.
Hi, I'm Tom Hoagland, president of the Friends of Kanatsu Farm, and the purpose of this video is to show the public what we're doing and why we're doing it. So what I'm standing here is a place along the nature trail on the eastern side of the trail. In front of me, about 300 yards, is the beach, and behind me, about 300 yards or a little bit further, is the South County Museum. Now, to my left, this section here is an area that the volunteers have not yet begun to clear. And if you look at it, it looks like a thicket, because it is. It's a thicket of privet and multiflora rose and barberry, which are the 3 of the main invasive plants that we have been removing. And our idea here is to do a film that shows before and then during, because this will probably take us 2 sessions of 3 hours with 10 or more volunteers. It'll probably take 2 of those sessions to clear this, and so that ultimately you'll be able to walk along this trail and look to the right, and all you'll be able to see is the stone wall and maybe Petasquamscot Cove behind you. So again, what you're seeing here is a forest floor that is infested with invasive plants. And the goal of our volunteers for Friends of Kanatsu Farm is to clear out the invasives and let the native plants come back. So I've moved 80 feet down the trail to the west, and now the woods behind me is where volunteers worked many hours over the winters of 2017, 18, and 19 to clear out those very same invasives I showed you in the previous segment. And if you look behind me, you'll see mostly trees and native plants coming back up in the forest floor after we cleared out the privet. And that's what we're about.
I'm Kathy Kelleher, former president of the Friends of Kanatsu Farm. For the past 5 years, we've been working in these woods to remove invasive species along the edge of the trail so that the trail stays more clear throughout the summer and makes it easier for people to walk through here, and it allows vistas of areas that are very beautiful and show that all the old colonial stone walls that were built here.
So here I am again. This is day 2 of the work to clear this particular section of woods between the trail and the stone wall. We had a close-up of the berries that are left on the one privet. By the time we're done, every privet of any size will be pulled out of here along with a couple of other invasives, and then we will have the woods clear. And then if you pan over here a little bit, you'll see the other side of the woods, which is still full of invasives. We're probably going to clear some of that today because we're on top of things.
Pull it up by the roots.
It's very satisfying to do that too.
Yeah, because you can get the big ones. Put it in the jaws like that, as low as possible. I hold it down low with my foot as I lever down. That way it grabs the trunk as low as possible. And the more you push down, the tighter it grabs. Then you just go like this. See? You can hear the roots ripping.
Every winter, we're out on the trail, and one of the major jobs that we have is chopping this debris up into small pieces so that it rots away and disappears basically without spreading any of its seeds. As you can see, it's on a tarp on the ground, and in this way we protect the trail from new plants growing up in this place.
Here's another one of the invasives that we have a lot of in these woods. This is multiflora rose, and it sends out these huge branches that are very thorny. They come out over the trail, and of course they bury as well. So what we do is cut off the branches so we can get to it, and then we'll come back with the plant lever to pull out the roots. But you see this and the privet and the bittersweet vines that are on some of the trees. They're the main ones that we're fighting here, with an occasional burning bush and an occasional barberry. A piece of privet with the berries that I've cut, and entwined with it is another one of our invasive plants. This is a bittersweet vine. They get really large and grow up into the trees. So we just try to reduce it where we see it, and where we can, we dig it out. Here is an example of a mature bittersweet vine snaking its way up a tree. Amanda, would you do the honors? There we go. So when we do find a bittersweet that's going up the tree that's too big, we cut it off at the bottom. So these vines will dangle, but they dry out pretty fast. And as the snow and the wind, in a year or two, they'll get very brittle and they start breaking and falling on their own. So we don't have to pull them out of the trees once we've cut its root off. After we pile the invasive plants on the tarp and cut them into smaller pieces, we drag it to a spot off the trail and add it to the pile. The debris will break down eventually and provide food and shelter for small mammals, which are an important part of the ecosystem. So now, after 2 work sessions and about 55 to 60 man hours, and man and woman hours, I should say, and this area behind me, which we saw at the beginning of the film, as full of privet and other invasives, is now clear, and you can see all the way along the stone wall revealed. And so this is what we have been accomplishing for the last 4 years along the nature trail in Kanatsu Farm. And we hope to continue this and to reduce the amount of invasive plants here and restore this woodland to what it was and what it should be. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that concludes my presentation. My thanks to Steve Wright for always being our champion, and to the town of Narragansett for preserving Kanatsu Farm as a natural area and recreational resource for its residents. I humbly ask that the Narragansett Town Council renew the current working agreement with the Friends of Kanatsu Farm, and thank you all for your time and attention.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Very cool to see kind of the behind the scenes work going on by the group down there. So we appreciate it. And I know we'll see that item later on the agenda. So have a good night. Appreciate it.
Okay.
So next we have Jamie Rhodes from the, actually I'm not sure of the organization he's from, but he's here to speak on the community electricity aggregation program. Dan, do we have Jamie on?
Oop, just saw him, and where did he go?
I show him up top.
Yep, just found him.
Okay.
Jamie, can you,
All right. Can you hear me?
you there?
I'm here.
Great. Thanks for taking the time. I don't know if you have a camera available or not. If not, that's fine. We could just go with.
No, I have the camera. I don't see an option to put my video on.
Let me promote him to panelist.
Okay.
1 second.
Right. There we go. Now I can find myself. Thank you, everyone. Excellent. So yes, my name is Jamie Rhodes. I'm with the company Good Energy. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment to walk through electricity aggregation, community electricity aggregation. I know it was discussed at the last town council meeting. Since then, I've had the pleasure of speaking to the sponsor, Ava, as well as the town manager, as well as from the planning department. I believe it was John from the planning, John Gerhard from the planning department as well. So I've had a couple of meetings, and they've asked me to come and give a presentation to the council regarding what is community aggregation and how does it work, to explore whether the council is interested in moving forward in Narragansett. So let me just get this up. Here we go. And hopefully you can see the screen now. My face is at a different spot.
Yes, we can see it.
All right. So once again, thank you so much. First, just to tell a little bit about Good Energy, to explain a little bit about why I'm in front of the council tonight. We are an energy aggregation consultant. It's the type of work that our company specializes in. We've been doing it for 10 years. We started with institutions like large electricity users, universities, industrial clients, and really working to aggregate their electricity load to take advantage of the competitive market for electricity. Over the last 10 years, there's been a large expansion of residential, what we call community electricity aggregation. So moving out of the commercial and industrial space and helping to support municipal clients, also achieve cost savings, competitiveness, and to also address a number of climate goals that municipalities generally have. So right now in New England specifically, so just so you know, we started in Ohio and Illinois originally. Now we're active with offices in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire. Currently, we have 53 clients in Massachusetts, which is one of the first New England jurisdictions to move forward with municipal aggregation. 2 years ago, Rhode Island has authorized it, and we have 6 clients currently in Rhode Island, and New Hampshire is in the process of authorizing it. We have one town, Keene, New Hampshire, that's signed up and worked with us. So right now we've got 44 active programs serving over 1 million residents across Massachusetts. And then our Rhode Island clients are Providence, Central Falls, Portsmouth, Barrington, Newport, and South Kingstown. I'll get to this a little bit later, but we've actually had a big milestone last week with aggregation plans, the first aggregation plans in Rhode Island being approved in Providence, Central Falls, Barrington, and South Kingstown. One of the things that we really work for is a number of the communities that are working towards climate goals to increase the amount of renewable energy at a cost-effective level that's being used. We work with a local nonprofit called Green Energy Consumers Alliance to source renewable energy from New England specific projects. And it's allowed us to really grow the amount of renewable energy that our municipal clients are using while still maintaining cost savings for the residents. So what is electricity choice or electricity aggregation? And it all comes down to electricity choice. So it was about somewhere between 25 to 30 years ago, the Rhode Island deregulated its electricity market, which essentially meant that the supply of electricity becomes something that we can choose. National Grid in Rhode Island, unless you're in Block Island or up in Burrillville, National Grid provides the delivery services, the wires, the poles, the infrastructure in order to deliver electricity to each individual user. But where the actual electricity, the electrons themselves are coming from is who is providing that is actually a choice. And so what electricity aggregation does is seeks to change who your supplier for electricity is. Right now, obviously, there has to be a default supplier. Somebody moves into town, wants to turn on their electricity. There has to be somebody that's providing that before anybody chooses. It's not like it's not like a car where you get to go out and buy it before you ever use it. When it comes to electricity, it's got to be available as soon as somebody's there. So what we offer to do and what we work with communities on doing is changing who that default supplier of electricity is. So the goals that we tend to work with, and every community has a different mix of goals, different things that are important to their locality. But the four primary goals that we really work to achieve is to benefit from the competitive electricity market. I will allow individuals and small businesses that don't have a huge amount of electricity use in comparison to industrial users, but have them allow them to benefit from the competitive market by aggregating their use. So banding everybody's demand together allows us to be competitive in the market. Also to provide rate stability. As most of us probably realize, our national grids rate change every 6 months. There's a shift in April, there's a shift in October, every year. So the rate fluctuates. What we're able to do through aggregation is smooth that out and provide one stable rate for a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on how long of a contract that a community wants to sign. We also are able to help use and support the clean energy by sourcing renewable energy from local projects right here in Rhode Island, across New England. We're able to create demand for more renewable energy development in the region. And we're also able to expand consumer choice. Not all electricity is priced the same. Those who want more renewable energy are willing to pay a little bit more. Those that want to maximize their cost savings have options as well. And through aggregation, we're able to provide more options directly to consumers. And the consumers in this situation being residents and small businesses that are currently on National Grid supply. So the way that we're able to work through this, I'll go through each one of these pieces real quickly. The first one is secure competitive pricing. So right now, National Grid, when they go out to bid for electricity supply, they do it 4 days every year. It's the same 4 days, it's the same every year. And they're just stuck with whatever the market looks like. As we see with gas prices, electricity is the same. Power is a volatile market. Prices change frequently. And if the market's low and it's a good time to buy, National Grid can't do anything. What we're able to do is to say, we're able to time the market so that when prices are low, we're able to secure longer term contracts for our clients. And we also have buying power. By aggregating the demand of all the residents of a community, at least the ones that choose to be in the program, we're able to not just accept whatever a supplier wants to provide, whatever market or whatever supply services they want to provide. We're actually able to demand and actually engage in negotiations with suppliers and say, this is what we want to have. And if we have enough demand, they're willing to change their products to meet what a community needs. In comparison to last resort service in Massachusetts, it's called standard offer. Every one of our clients have saved money over the course of their contract. That means their residents over the life of the contracts that we have worked out has saved money on their electricity supply. Obviously, I cannot guarantee that for the future because National Grid's rate changes every 6 months, and I don't know what the rate is going to be 6 months from now or 6 months from then. So I can't guarantee something that I don't know what I'm comparing to, but we do have a track record of saving money for each one of our clients. As I mentioned before, price stability has a big advantage. Knowing what your rate is going to be year in, month out, has a lot of advantages for especially those on fixed income or those that just want stability in their budgeting. And the fluctuations that we have every 6 months can play a big role in making it unstable. So we really seek to provide price stability for longer term periods of 12 to 36 months. As I mentioned before about using and supporting renewable energy, one of the things that we seek to pioneer is to increase the amount of electricity above the state minimum, and to do so with still maintaining competitive rates to national grid. What this does is it puts demand out in the market and encourages more development of renewable energy by saying that this is how much we're going to buy, and we're going to keep buying above what the state minimum is. And so that encourages more developers to build the solar farms, to build the wind turbines, to bring those projects online because there's an increasing demand for it. And finally, about consumer choice. So right now, this is essentially the world of electricity supply that people have to choose from. There's National Grid's last resort service. That's what happens if you don't do anything, if you don't change your supplier. And there's a lot of third-party offers, whether I live in Providence, so I get door-to-door canvassers coming by from like Acadia Power or something like that. They'll come and knock on my door and say, show me your National Grid bill. I can get you a better offer on electricity supply. But that's really the world of offers that are out there right now. Through aggregation, we're able to put out new products that are based off of what a community wants. So there's a standard product, which once again, in Rhode Island, so far, the standard products have an increased amount of renewable energy in comparison to the state minimum. There's also often the communities choose a 100% product for those that it's not about it's not about the price they're paying, but it's what their source of electricity is for those that are conscious of that avenue. They can choose 100% renewable product. And for those that the renewable energy piece is not something that's important to them and they just want to maximize the cost savings, there's a basic product, which is essentially just comparable to National Grid's last resort service. So these are the expansion of consumer choice options that are available through aggregation. So this is an example of just one community, Somerville, Massachusetts, that we've been working with since July 2017. The blue line represents the different, the basic service rate that Eversource, the Eversource's utility in Somerville, that Eversource offered throughout the term that we've been working with them. As you can see, it changes every 6 months in Massachusetts, like it does in Rhode Island. The orange line is the rate that we provided. Going through a competitive bidding process with an additional renewable energy. As you can see, in each 6-month period, we were able to save residents of Somerville, Massachusetts, money on their electricity bill. Even when we increased this to a 10% renewable energy in 2020, we were still able to have an increased amount of savings in comparison to last resort service. So there are pricing charts like this for each of the communities that we have. This is just a sample because it shows that the evolving amount of renewable energy that they've used. So we wanted to put that into context, actually show it in a rate-to-rate comparison. And so the last piece that I just wanted to talk about briefly before I take on any questions that you might have is what's the experience like for an individual consumer? Obviously, if we're making a change to electricity, we want to make sure that individual residents are not going to be negatively impacted and it's not going to be difficult for them to participate. So the first piece is that this is voluntary participation. Nobody has to use the aggregation program or be a part of it, but there is automatic enrollment. So the program is considered an opt-out program. So it changes the default supply, but then allows all the options available for any individual consumer. That includes going back to National Grid, any external third-party suppliers, or any of the supply options offered within the aggregation program. And unlike a lot of the third-party suppliers within the aggregation program, there's no fee, there's no penalty for anybody to leave the program. If they don't like it, for whatever reason, they can leave. If they want to come back in, it's still there, and there's no cost to moving back into the program. If somebody does not want to participate, they can leave before the program begins or anytime during the life of the program. And the automatic enrollment is only for customers who have not chosen a third-party supplier. So anybody that's already gone out into the market and said, I actually want to shop around, I want to choose my supplier myself, their choices are not impacted here. They stay with their supplier and they continue to stay with their supplier as long as they want to. Their choices are not going to be overruled in any way. National Grid continues to handle billing and maintenance, so the bill doesn't change. Who the supplier is listed on the bill changes, but the actual bill itself doesn't change. It doesn't impact National Grid's maintenance or their utility maintenance on poles, on wires, emergency response. All of that is the same. And for low income individuals, the low income discounts they have are also maintained. There's a 25% and 30% full bill discount for low income residents. Those benefits are maintained, as well as any net metering programs or rooftop solar. Those type of programs are not impacted by this at all as well. Those contracts are separate for the generation of power. This is just for the purchase of power that's not being generated on site. So that's most of the participant experience within this, just kind of at the high points. So that really is the program in a nutshell. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there are questions that you all have that I'll be happy to answer. And I will actually stop sharing my screen so I can see people again. There we go.
Great. Thank you for that, Mr. Rhodes. It's good. It's kind of good to get that initial primer for the council. And I also want to thank Councilor Trzynski for bringing this up to the council in the first place. We actually have very quickly we have a motion to schedule a public hearing for a different issue. Do you mind staying on for 5 minutes while we?
No, not at all.
Okay, great. Because I know we'll have a few questions for you, so we'll come right back to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right. So it is a minute after 8. We have a motion to schedule a public hearing to consider rezoning a property to comply with designations assigned in the 2017 Narragansett Comprehensive Plan / land use map. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Second.
Second by Patrick. Okay, so essentially this is the Twin Willows property. It looks like this was intended to be rezoned in accordance with that 2017 update to the plan, but I'm going to have Mike DeLuca from Community Development just chime in real quick just to kind of clarify what's going on with this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've summarized it fine. As one of the main components of our comprehensive plan research prior to drafting the plan, one of the things that we tried to do was identify where we had zoning mismatches with the town's comprehensive land use map. The comprehensive land use map and the comp plan looks like a zoning map, but it's more generalized. It speaks to things like high density residential and low density, commercial as a single route reference. Same thing with industrial, a single reference, even though in the zoning ordinance, we have numerous designations under those headings. So our consultant did this analysis, found those mismatches I spoke of, and identified them on a table that was in the comprehensive plan. Somewhere along the way, while we knew that the Twin Willows was a mismatch, it's certainly a business, but it is zoned residential and it has been for decades. It didn't make it into the matrix. It didn't make it into the table. So after the plan was approved by the council and then affirmed by the state planning council, we then carried out the rezoning of 9 parcels. As it turned out, only 6 of them were rezoned, 3 were left as is. But we carried out that process as a process sponsored by the town of Narragansett because of the need to have zoning and the land use map in concert with one another. So here we found, I was having a discussion with the owner of Twin Willows not too long ago about business options, and looking at the zoning map, it just struck me that we had missed this one. So we talked about that a little bit, and he was very interested in seeing that his property is zoned commercial on and into the future. So to be fair, the town did sponsor the rezoning of the other 9 properties. As I said, we paid for the ad in the newspaper. We paid for the notifications that went to property owners. We would feel that it would be appropriate in this time to extend the same courtesy to the Twin Willows. And that's really what it's about. We need to schedule a hearing, put it in front of the planning board for their recommendation, and then have the hearing. I'll take any questions you have any.
So we'd be looking to do this August 2nd, which is that's the first Monday in August. That works for everybody. And so this is just to schedule that public hearing. Any other questions for Mike?
Yeah, I had a quick question. Mike, thank you for that short version of the zoning. So basically we're going from residential to BA or BB?
We're going from, well, we'll have to think about that. Because it is not adjacent to any other business zoned property. Next door, the property that has the bank in it
Right.
is zoned BB. So that may be the appropriate zoning.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Does it look like anyone from the public has their hand up? So for August 2nd, so we'd be scheduling the public hearing Monday, August 2nd. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline, Banano, aye.
Eva?
Petrosinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Thank you, Mike, again for that explanation. And then we have a motion to refer the application to the planning board for review and recommendation. Motion.
I'll make the recommendation to send it to the planning board. Susan Cicilline, Banano.
Second.
Second by Patrick. Any comments? All right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline, Banano, aye.
Eva?
Eva Petrosinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. So that's it for the public hearing portion. So we will go back to Mr. Rhodes from Good Energy. Thanks for your patience.
Of course.
I know that was very exciting for you. But,
Zoning always is.
yes. Yeah. But yeah, thanks again for this presentation. I'm going to start with Councilor Drzezinski, since it was her, again, her kind of initiative on the council. So Eva, go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't have any questions. So I've, spoken with Jamie a few times to answer a lot of the questions that I did have. And I did learn about this in one of my classes that Jamie presented at. And Deb and I have been talking to Jamie as well. And Deb also learned about this in one of her presentations that she attended. So we were kind of on the same page, same wavelength. So that's all I have to comment on, and listen to everyone else.
Thanks, Eva. Anyone else from the council have any questions for Mr. Rhodes?
So I just had a question. I'm going to call him Jamie. I hope that's okay.
Of course.
So if you come into a town, do you do like an assessment to say, here's what we need to do first? I mean, how do you go into communities and make it happen?
Yeah, so the process from this point is the first thing that needs to happen, and this is following state law. So there's a state statute that guides how our procedure has to follow from here. So what happens first is that if upon approval of a resolution by the council, we're able to go and develop a plan. What the plan would address is what would the program look like? What are the type of supply options that we think that we would provide? What does the education and outreach component look like? How we're going to communicate this program and its development to citizens? How would the program sit within the town administration? Who's responsible for managing it? Who do we report to? Those type of questions. We would develop a plan based off of that information. We would get some initial aggregate data from National Grid, just of broad sense, what's the usage? Not individual account level data, but just broad sense, what is the amount of usage? How much is industrial, residential, commercial that we would be looking at? We would develop the plan and we would present it back to the council for feedback, for amendments, for changes. Then based off of state law, the plan has to go out to a public hearing before in the community. After that, we can finalize the plan, submit it to the Public Utilities Commission in order for them to review and make sure it's consistent with state law. And that's the point that the first 4 communities have got to. We had those approvals happen last week, and then we can actually get account level data so we can begin to develop and build the bid. So we can actually start engaging with competitive suppliers to be like, all right, sharpen your pencils, folks. We've got the data. Bring in the best rates. What do you need from us to know? How can we structure the most effective and competitive rates? Because these suppliers also want to beat National Grid. This is their entire business, is to make sure that we have suppliers and they're familiar with these programs. And so that's the general process. Once the bidding is done, a supplier is chosen, we do at least a 1-month education outreach campaign, including direct mail, social media, community presentations to let folks know that this is happening and they can opt out if they do not want to be part of the program.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, so that's a long answer to a short question.
No, it was great. It was very helpful, very helpful.
Deborah Patrick, any questions?
I just have one quick question. Jamie, how long does that whole process generally take?
So now that we've gone through the unknown was going through the Public Utilities Commission for the first time, since they had no procedure, they had no rules the first time. Well, we've done that now. So at this point, what usually happens is it takes about a month to develop the plan with community input. It'll take about under 3 months to work with the Public Utilities Commission to actually approve the plan. Probably 1 month to 2 months to do the bidding process, depending on what the market looks like, because we don't want to bid if we not going to bring back good rates. And then about a month and a half of education and outreach, and then we're able to launch the program. So overall, at this point, I would say if the council said this moment we want to do this, we would probably have a program online in about 9 months.
It probably doesn't go quite that fast for us, but soon.
I didn't expect to tap it this evening, just as a point of reference.
Patrick, anything?
Yeah, I had a couple questions, Jamie. What's the average cost savings per kilowatt?
So I'm hesitant to give exact answers. I mean, I can go and crunch the data and get back to you of what it has been in the past. Obviously, I don't know the future, but in general, what we look to is we aim for about a 10% savings is what we go towards. So if the rate right now is at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, we're going for at least a penny per kilowatt hour savings.
Right.
If it's 13,
do you know what the rate is? National Grid rate is per kilowatt right now?
Right now, I want to say it's just shy of 8 cents per kilowatt hour this summer, and they're going. Actually, I don't know what the rate's going to be in October when they go to their winter rates.
Right. So it'd be 10% would be the savings. A town this size, how many millions of kilowatts are we talking?
I don't know the answer to that without a calculator and a and a census book. At the moment.
What your last town there up in ballpark, 10 million kilowatts?
If you give me a moment, I can actually I'll pull up the actual data so I don't like misquote myself in any way. But
okay, and
go to the next question, I'll do that.
Have you ever missed the market and paid more than the current supplier?
We have missed the market in individual 6-month increments. Yes,
Right.
there are communities that we have for individual 6 months that we've been higher than the rate.
Right. Okay. All right. And where do you guys make the money? You add on, you take a piece of that 10% savings?
In one way to think of it, yes, there's a piece of that there. So,
Okay, and you handle all advertising, handling fees, everything. The town has no obligation to have any cost built in?
There's no cost directly to the town, except there's obviously some staff time that we have to work with the town administrator or other staff. But no, we handle all of the legal costs, the outreach costs, the marketing costs. Those are all borne by us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. All right, Jamie, thank you again. I'm going to hold off on any questions. We kind of have a reputation of going long in our meetings here, so but I'll be learning as we go. But thank you again for being with us tonight.
Thank you all for the time, and Councilman Murray, I'll send some information back to the town manager to the questions you asked so that you'll have it in front of you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks. All right. Great. So next, very briefly, we have Chief Sean Corrigan here with us, who is going to go over the operations action plan for the Narragansett Police Department for the summer for the Pier and Beach area. So thank you, Chief.
Mr. President, I'm going to share my screen here. So real quick, I'm going to share the highlights of our plan to better provide support to the town beach this summer, focusing on the issues of manpower, equipment, and operations. So start off for manpower. I have taken one detective out of our detective division and assigned him to 90 days into the patrol division. And he's been assigned to the beach and the pier area on a day swing. So that'd be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And along with him, there are my 2 school resource officers. Once the school is out, they will be assigned to patrol as well. One on day shift, one on evening shift, with a focus on the beach and the pier area. And then my other community police officer, who focuses on housing during the school year, is going to be in charge of our CSO program, and he'll be primarily in the beach and the pier area as well, working day shift. And he'll be in charge of the 18 community service officers that we've hired for the summer, who will be doing the parking enforcement and also some patrolling to be watchers for us on the beach. So this will give us some dedicated personnel to the beach and the surrounding area, in addition to the support from the patrol division. Now for equipment, one of my sergeants has been working for approximately 6 months to secure some donations. And he got 5,000 from Hunter Club, 5,000 from the Lions Club, and 5,000 from the Dunes Club, for a total of 15,000 towards this ATV. With the police department pitching in another little over 4,000 to get this. We'll put our graphics on it. We'll put a light package on there, a siren. So this will give us a high visibility vehicle to use on the beach, and to assist the fire department with any water rescues or may occur down by the mouth or anywhere along the shoreline there. The council approved a while back some radar shields. I'm expecting those to come in by July. Those are those devices you've probably seen where the with radar, it'll tell you what your speed is in relation to what the posted speed limit is, and it'll flash a warning at you when you're going over the speed. We found that to be a pretty effective tool in other locations. So we're gonna put one of those on Boston Neck, another on South Pier Road, and one on Kingstown Road to control speed coming into the pier. And then another project that's come to fruition just recently is we actually started working on this in 2019. It got put in the back burner because of COVID. This is with the Rhode Island Department of Transportation. Is going to restripe Boston Neck Road in front of the beach. I don't have an image for you, but conceptually, southbound Boston Neck, where it goes from one lane into two suddenly at the curve, it's going to keep that in one lane further south, and then we'll gradually go into the 2 lanes. And then for northbound, it's going to go from the 2 lanes to 1 lane sooner before the curve to cut down on the people trying to race to be the first car at the corner. So we think through design, this is going to help us control speed and make Boston Neck Road through that section safer. And then lastly, we purchased a new sound meter. We do get noise complaints after hours at the beach and the surrounding area. So we've purchased that and been training with it and have been taking readings in the center of town, and we'll continue to expand that program. And then for operations, we run beach details on hot days and special events. We do get grants for underage drinking enforcement. We will put that to use on the beach and surrounding area. We've done that in the past. It's been productive. The area cars will continue to do spot checks of the beach and the parking lots to support the officers that are dedicated to the area. And then patrol will also assist the beach management. Just yesterday, for an example, our officers were present with beach staff checking something like in the area of 1,500 bags and coolers coming into the beach, which I believe over 300 did have alcoholic beverages. So we'll continue to provide that support, and if they need any assistance with trespassing, anybody who's becoming unruly on the beach, we'll be there for that. And then we also have Rhode Island Department of Transportation grants for speed and distracted driving and other issues. We're going to direct some of that grants usage to be directed towards the pier. It gives a greater enforcement presence in that geographical area. And then we'll, throughout the summer, we'll coordinate with beach management on social media messaging to continue to get the word out on how we're helping to support the beach and any issues that they want to get out through our social media pages. That wraps up my presentation. If you have any questions.
Great, thanks, Chief. Before we get into any questions, I just want to say, any questions about the ATV? Let's go ahead and wait until we get to that agenda item, because that is on the agenda for tonight, so we don't want to take that time now. Chief, most of those initiatives were things that you guys have been planning. That's been planned for a while out, right? not something that's kind of a.
That's correct. Yeah, we go through a planning process to transition from, dealing with the student rental issues that happen primarily in the fall and the spring to our summer operations. So, for example, like the ATV, been working on that for several months, but I tweaked it to create some added presence in the area with the 90-day assignment for the detective to the beach. Otherwise, most of that was in progress.
Got it. Great. Okay. Well, thank you. Any council members have any questions?
Yeah, I just had a question. I mean, great presentation. I just had a question. What that situation that happened on that Sunday was a pre-season event. And I just want to ask you, have we had any situations over the years, like when the beach was open, when it was staffed, it was, fully, we haven't had any bad situations. This has only happened pre-season, right, Chief, from your recollection?
Right. So I've been here 24 years, and no, we haven't had a disturbance like that. There was one back in, I think it was around 97. That was an after hours altercation that occurred. But otherwise, we've had,
Wonderful experiences down there. Yeah, because I was
flights throughout the year, nothing of that level before.
right. Yeah. So, for the 20 something years I've been going to the beach, there's never been an incident. The staff does a wonderful job. They've, been supportive with all the different issues on the beach. This was clearly an isolated pre-season event with the beach not being open, high temperatures. So I'm only reacting to that because we've gotten flooded with tons of emails, and it was a one-off. It doesn't happen regularly. This hasn't happened. I think it happened once, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was a much smaller event. I just want the public to know that, the beach is safe. The staff does an incredible job. And I appreciate the police partnering up with the Park and Rec to be supportive. But, on a regular day, just when it's staffed, it just doesn't happen.
Absolutely. It's an aberration, but we understand it's very upsetting to people. When something like that happens, then everything that they see that they don't like becomes a threat. So that's why we have had the very strong presence, and we're putting the manpower out there just to calm the public and let them know that we're here. Still a great place to be, great town to be, a very safe community. And, we'll be there.
Thanks.
All right. Any other comments for the chief?
Thanks for all your efforts on this, Chief Corrigan, and for putting that together so quickly for the event.
Very welcome.
Okay, great. I just also want to take a second just to commend you and your staff for the job you did do on that Sunday. Things could have definitely escalated beyond what they did. And all in all, there wasn't any serious injuries to any officers or to any beachgoers. So great job keeping things under control, relatively speaking. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Nice job, Chief. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, so next we have a proclamation honoring our Parks and Rec Director, Steve Wright, who will be retiring in the middle of the month. I believe, is it June 16th? It's you're on mute, but
It's the 15th, Jesse.
15th, June 15th, that makes more sense. So, but why don't I go ahead and read this for Steve? Whereas Stephen Wright is retiring as Director of the Parks and Recreation Department, Town of Narragansett, Rhode Island, as of June 15th, 2021, after almost 10 years of service with the town. Whereas Stephen Wright began his career with the State of Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management as a laborer in April of 1974. Whereas Stephen Wright's career with the State of Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management spanned over 35 years of service, moving up the ranks to a semi-skilled laborer, heavy equipment operator, parks manager, regional parks manager, superintendent of state parks, and acting chief. Whereas Stephen Wright served as beach superintendent at Narragansett Town Beach and was responsible for the administration and operation of the town beach with 120 employees, with amenities including the South Pavilion, North Pavilion, cabanas, North Beach Clubhouse, 4 parking lots, and serving up to 10,000 beach patrons per day. Whereas Stephen Wright served as interim director and later as full-time director with the Town of Narragansett's Parks and Recreation Department and was responsible for the administration and operation of the town of Narragansett Parks and Recreation Department, including the Town Beach, Community Center, North Beach Clubhouse, Kinney Bungalow, Clark Road Camp, administrative offices, and 11 parks with playgrounds, skate park, basketball courts, tennis courts, soccer fields, baseball fields, gazebo, open space, concessions, tennis, and restroom buildings. Responsible for establishing, promoting, and conducting a wide variety of programming and special events throughout the year for residents and visitors of Narragansett. Whereas Stephen Wright managed and assisted in numerous town projects, including the renovations of the community center, North Pavilion, North Beach Clubhouse, Cabanas, South Pavilion, Parks and Recreation facilities at Clark Road, synthetic ice rink, Veterans Memorial Park, and various improvements to playgrounds and parks. Whereas Stephen Wright has served on numerous boards and committees, including the Recreation Advisory Board, Towers Committee, Senior Center Association, and Narragansett Land Trust. Whereas with the love and support of his wife Patricia, and daughters Megan, Kristen, and Caitlin, Stephen Wright has been a powerful influence for good in our community. Now, therefore, all our citizens with us in extending to Stephen Wright our deep appreciation for his distinguished service and our best wishes for continued success in all his future endeavors. Adopted the 7th day of June, AD 2021. Congratulations, Steve, and enjoy the retirement, well deserved. And it's a little disappointing that you were only a semi-skilled laborer, not a skilled laborer, but hey, we'll take it. All right, anyone have any comments for Steve?
Steve, we wish you the very best in your retirement. You will be missed, but we're happy for you to your next journey in life.
Yeah, congratulations on your retirement. I'm sure we'll be seeing you around town, though.
Thank you.
I expect to see you skating, Steve. That's what I expect. Congratulations.
Or pickleball. We'll see you on the pickleball courts.
Thank you, Steve, for all your hard work and your dedication to the town all those years. Thank you.
Jesse, could I say a word on this, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Thank you. Steve has been a pleasure to work with since I came here, and I saw his work long before I worked for the town. And working with him side by side was my pleasure. And I learned a lot from Steve on how he operates his programs, and everyone can learn from that. And Steve, it's been a pleasure to work with, and hope to see you around after you leave. All right. Thank you.
Thanks again, Steve. Okay, so now we're going to move to open forum, public comment. Looks like we have one hand up. Dan, who do we have?
First is Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boss Neck Road. Many times I'm always complaining about something. I feel real good today because I want to say attaboy to Steve Wright. He every time I was there on a weekend and night times, I mean, most employees be home, and he's out there making sure everything's going right. He was really committed, unbelievably committed to his job. Job well done, and like you say, an example to all those who worked along with him. Even my grandson worked for the beach, and I have to attribute it, the time that my grandson spent in that beach job, he learned social skills that was so valuable to him as he moved on in his engineering career. I realized that I didn't have those social skills, and all of a sudden my engineering son had the social skills to get up and speak and interact with people. And I know he got that from Steve and his crew. And for that, I want to thank you, Steve, very much. And I wish you a fantastic retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Dan, who do we have next?
Next is Laurie Kelly.
Laurie, please state your full name and address.
Lori Kelly, 444 Ocean Road. I just have a quick update again on the Belmont project, the library project as it goes forward. And the most important thing tonight is we are having a interactive Zoom meeting this Thursday, June 10th at 4:30 p.m. And that will be hosted by our library architects, the firm of HBM. So all patrons of the library, people who use the conference rooms and programming rooms, who rely on computers, we hope that you can take the time to tune into this meeting. It's going to be fairly quick and easy, but the architects are going to show work, outfitted children's rooms, etc. And you're going to be able to do an online chat thing of what you like, which room you prefer, etc. And you're not forced to comment on every room, but it's very exciting, the things that are going on now in modern technology and library design. So each library is different, and as the patrons can help us with, what they used pre-COVID and going forward, what they'd like to see in the library. If you missed that meeting, it will be posted so you can review not only the presentation, but the public's comments going on. And then we're going to have a recap, which we're going to fold into, our continued design meetings. So again, we're still in the preliminary design, essentially room flows, sight lines, etc. And we will continue this summer to work, back and forth with the architects on as we get more fine-tuned of where the various furniture in the rooms will be, and then of course the alterations of the windows and doors and the facade of the building, but we're getting there, and it's very exciting. So we hope that you can join us once again this Thursday, June 10th at 4:30 p.m. Thank you. It will be posted on the library Facebook pages and Friends Facebook pages, or call the library for the Zoom link. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Dan, who's up next?
Next is Alicia.
Hi, Alicia. Please state your full name and address.
Hello. Hi, this is Alicia Vignali Henry, 660 Point Judith Road. You guys can hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I would like to say congratulations to Steve as well. Have a wonderful retirement. But I called tonight because I'd like to just take a few minutes and speak on what an exciting day this is for the Caribbean community and for Friends of the Caribbean throughout Rhode Island. I'd like to give you a bit of history. So on June 5th, 2006, President George W. Bush issued a proclamation declaring June be annually recognized as Caribbean American Heritage Month. Since then, every sitting president, including the current president, has issued proclamations stating that June is a time to celebrate, learn about, and appreciate Caribbean Americans and the contributions to American history and culture. So earlier this morning, Governor McKee's office issued an official proclamation declaring June as a Caribbean American Heritage Month in Rhode Island. Our capital city of Providence then held the ceremony. They issued a proclamation, and the CARICOM flag flew high above City Hall. So we know there's not a huge Caribbean population here in Narragansett, but I think it's really important that we recognize those that do live here and in our surrounding South County area. And I think we have to acknowledge how influential the Caribbean is in our lives when considering things like travel, enjoying delicious food, sipping on some of our favorite spirits and beverages while we listen to some island music on our beautiful beaches. So in addition to my family, I've met people from Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, St. Kitts, and Jamaica, all who have lived, live, work, or spent time in our town. There's actually a young man who arrived from Jamaica last month who's going to be working in our community this summer and using his money to pay for things that he needs to complete his degree at the university in Jamaica. He expressed to me how much he looked forward to exploring our town, making friends, and being part of our community. So I hope everyone gets a chance to meet and welcome him. This is important to me. I've had the chance to spend some significant time in the region, and a lot of the issues they face are just like the ones that we face in Narragansett, from adapting to tourists and seasonal economies and ensuring access to shorelines and preserving our natural resources. I feel as though we have a lot to share and learn from one another. And from a historical perspective, Rhode Island and the Caribbean have been and continue to be intertwined and dependent on one another. So it's exciting for me because I'm so proud of my Caribbean American husband, my first generation Caribbean American children, but I'm also a huge advocate for what conversations and educational information can accomplish. So it's exciting to see these proclamations on the federal, state, and city levels. And I hope that we can, continue to think of fun and innovative ways as a town to really discover and learn and celebrate about all of the vibrant cultures that have built Narragansett into this incredible town that we love so much. So thank you so much for the time. I appreciate, getting a chance to talk, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Alicia. Thanks for sharing that with us. All right, Dan, who do we have next?
Next, I believe, is Peg Fredette.
Peg, please state your full name and address.
Peg Fredette, 110 Gibson Avenue, Narragansett, Rhode Island. I just want to throw in my thanks to Steve Wright for all the help, Steve, you have given me personally. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your leadership, your ability to teach. You're a great leader, a terrific gentleman, and you set a great example for the people who work for you and with you. So thank you. I just wanted to bring that up publicly. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Peg. Is that it, Dan?
And that is it.
That's it. Okay, great. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that any council person would like to have removed?
I was wondering if we could remove number 6, just because I have a question about it.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding number 6?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda excluding number 6.
All right.
I'll second.
All right. Seconded by Eva. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva.
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb.
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick. You got to unmute.
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. From the consent agenda number 6 is a motion to approve, ratify, and confirm the payment restoration work associated with the new water service installations completed by George Sherman Sand and Gravel Company Incorporated in the amount of $6,034. Do you have a motion?
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
I'll
All right.
second.
Seconded by Eva. All right, go ahead, Deb.
So this, I guess, is for John. My question is, I just wanted to make sure I read this document right. The cost associated with this project was borne by the people who had it done, not by us, right? We just were involved in having it done.
That's correct. Once
Okay.
once we pay the bill, this bill will get sent off to the developer as well.
Okay.
This is part of the service installation, which gets billed out to each customer as they come along. It just happens this is done with 4 or 5 or 6, maybe even 7 accounts in this subdivision.
Everybody, that's just one street, really.
Yeah, it's,
I can see it. I can see it from my house.
Yeah, they came in and made the application, and then when we bill all of that cost out to the customer, and then if it exceeds the amount they've deposited, we bill them accordingly.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, great. All right, so all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva.
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb.
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Under new business, we have number 13 from the fire department, a motion to award the bid for the purchase of a rescue watercraft and trailer to the sole bidder, Mather Rescue LLC, in the amount of $15,000. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Eva. So this would be for the purchase of a wave runner, like a jet ski, with a life sled. Looks like it comes from a donation to the fire department's marine program. Chief, is there anything that you want to add?
No, other than just to say thank you for this donor. At this time, they wish to remain anonymous. Our current jet ski is really becoming quickly outdated. We use it quite a bit. We train on it quite a bit. This individual happened to be very, very interested and supportive of our program, and was more than happy to be able to make this donation for us. And there's an additional donation that will be coming forward as well
for the purchase of some other gear related to the program. So other than that, just to say thank you. At some point, I hope to be able to include them and announce the donation and bring them to a training session. But right now, they've chosen just to kind of stay in the background.
But is the 15,000, we're not paying that. That's a donation. That's what it says on the agenda item, correct?
Correct. Yes, it's all donations. It's
Anonymous.
all
Thank you.
a private donation.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chief. It looks like we have a hand up. Dan, who do we have?
We have Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I want to commend the person who donated this, and obviously the fire department has done a very good job in what they're doing, that people want to come out and give, and that will help lower our taxes. Thank you, Chief, and thank the donor. Amen.
Stanley, any other questions or comments from the council?
I agree.
All right.
Thank you to the private donor and thank you to the chief.
Yes, thank you.
All in favor? Start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye. Thank you, Chief.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Thanks again, Chief. Number 14 from the IT department is a motion to approve the purchase of items for Information Technologies UPS replacement project from Zones LLC in the amount of $12,320.44. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Eva. Does anybody have any questions for Dan Holland on this? Okay. All right. All in favor? Start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. From HR, number 15 is a motion to appoint Michelle Kershaw as Parks and Recreation Director for the town of Narragansett effective June 14th, 2021. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Eva. So Michelle will be filling the large shoes of Steve Wright in a week or so. I know, Michelle, that well, at least I heard that you really kind of blew everybody away in the interview process. It was very, very kind words spoken about you and your interview, and it was just very clear that you were the best candidate for the job. So I just want to congratulate you and look forward to look forward to working with you. And I know it's well deserved.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there Susan, do you want to go ahead with any comments?
I just want to say, congratulations. I know you're going to do a great job, and I know you've got tons of experience down there, and we wish you the very best, and we hope to be able to support you in your work, Michelle.
Great. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right. Any other comments, Eva?
No, just congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you, Eva.
Deb?
Congratulations. And if you need any help, let me know.
Patrick?
Congrats. Good luck.
Thank you, Patrick.
Very low key job. Not much happening. So.
No.
All right. So all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb? Deb, you there?
I'm here. Sorry. Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye. Congrats.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Congratulations again, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, number 16, a motion to adopt the resolution establishing the proposed wages for seasonal, part-time, and temporary employees for the fiscal year 2021-2022. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Eva. All right, so we have the chart attached to the motion here. It shows the changes in rates for the upcoming season. Do any council members have any questions for, I guess it could be for Susan or Steve or Michelle? Or it's pretty clear, I think. Okay. All right, no hands up.
So
all-
I do, that beach security, is that a new addition right there at the bottom? Is that something we've had in the past? The 13, the beach security, is that?
Oh, in red?
Yeah,
I don't know. Steve, is that an existing position?
It's an existing position, but we haven't been able to, we've been using them as security, but we haven't officially had them as a title. So yes, so we're adding that as a new title with pay. But we've been hiring them for the last 2 years.
and that's how many people though, Steve? Just
Right now we have 6 to 8, but we're going to hire up to 10.
Okay.
And we've been hiring URI folks, but they can only stay to August, and then we hired additional people in August. So
thank you.
Deb offered to help too, so you can.
Yeah.
She's been lifting weights. All right. Okay, so all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 17 from Parks and Rec is a motion to approve the 10-year extension with the Friends of Kanatsu Farm starting September 18th, 2021, ending September 17th, 2031. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
All right.
Second.
All right,
I'll
second by Eva. So we just saw the presentation by Tom earlier. Do any council members have any questions about the agreement or anything else?
So I don't have a question, but I just want to make a comment. You know, I've been down there a number of times over the years, and I just want to thank all the Friends of Kanatsu Farms. They are all really hardworking, dedicated, continuing to take care of that area. And so I look forward to entering into an agreement for another long-term agreement with this group of people. They've been outstanding.
Thanks, Susan. Eva, any comments?
No, just it was a great presentation, really interesting to see, and thanks for everyone's work on that.
Thanks, Eva. Deb?
I'm going to abstain from this vote for one thing, but after we're done voting, I wouldn't mind saying something.
Sounds good. Patrick?
Ditto.
You're not going to abstain.
Extend the contract, for God's sake. They're doing a great job down there.
Yeah, I just want to kind of second what Susan said. I actually had not really explored that trail in the past very often, but we did start to go as a family during COVID when people were finally starting to go back outside. We utilized that trail and it's really great. It's kind of like really transports you to another place, which is interesting because you're right across from the beach, but you're in the woods. So very cool. So thank you to all the Friends of Kanatsu for the work that you guys did. What's wrong? Oh, I thought I heard a grunt from Patrick over there. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Patrick?
Congrats, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 4-0 with one abstention. And Deb, if you want to go ahead and speak, you can.
Yeah, just to, I abstained, of course, because I happen to be married to Tom Hoagland, but I just want to say that it is a remarkable place and it's, so worth the walk. I hope everybody who, if you haven't been there, give it a shot. It's not long and it's wonderful.
Thank you, Deb. Okay, number 18. Yep, number 18 from Community Development is a motion to introduce, pass, read, and accept as a first reading an ordinance in amendment of Chapter 731 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett, Rhode Island, entitled Zoning, specifically text revisions to Section 2.2, definitions, Section 6.4, dimensional regulations, Section 7.6, supplementary lot and bulk regulations, Section 7.9, automobile parking space, Section 7.10, plans and specifications for parking requirements, plus the addition of a new section 12.23, development standards for homes exceeding 4 bedrooms. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, I think Deb second on that one. So this is the bulk zoning amendments. which we have been working on for quite a while. Mike DeLuca from Community Development took all the amendments that we had discussed during the public hearing that was recommended from planning and essentially wrote it into an ordinance. So that's what we're doing the first reading on. The only change of any at all from that we're seeing from the public hearing to now is the change in handling of trash receptacles. So that's the only change there. Otherwise, it's what we had in the public hearing and what has been discussed throughout. So what I'm going to do is go around the council. Mike is here, Mr. DeLuca is here, so if you have any questions for him, go ahead and ask them now. And then we'll take public comment after. Susan?
I'm all set.
Okay. Eva?
No questions. Thanks, Mike.
Deb?
No questions.
Patrick?
Yeah, boy. Mike,
Yes, sir.
you with us? Okay.
I'm here.
All right. All right. I saw the bedroom to change that from 20,000 square feet. That would be the maximum. We read that again.
Tell me which section you're referencing. I'm not following you.
Bunk room.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So just go over that one a little bit. Are prohibited in dwellings of lots of 20,000 square feet of net area or less, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So that solved that little problem.
Yes. That actually came as a response to a suggestion from a member of the public.
Yeah.
As I said before at hearing, we had suggested that we should have this definition in here to anticipate a possible way that developers might want to get around the number of bedrooms issue that we're installing in the overall ordinance. And so we wanted to have a definition of bunk room. We found this definition or something like it that we then tailored to the town, put it into the proposal. At hearing, there were concerns about implementation of it. And one member of the public said, if you're so worried about bunk rooms on smaller lots, why don't you just prohibit them?
Right.
So that was where we put in the last sentence of that definition.
Right. Hopefully we don't get that 20,001 square foot lot.
Well, we had to draw a line somewhere. I think the same way you do on that matter.
Understood. The other thing is you got hardscape, softscape. Was there any medium scape for like if some guy wants to put a boat over there? We discussed this. I just wanted to go over it one more time.
We did not have any definition that would respond to that term that you just mentioned. But the ability to park boats and trailers is a different regulation in the ordinance. And in fact, you know that issue had been brought up about over a year ago. The planning board has reviewed it. They made a suggestion of the council, previous council to you. That council didn't feel as though they wanted to advance or approve that one. So the planning board chairman has expressed an interest in revisiting that and putting some better regulations into the RV and boat storage ordinance. So the concerns you may have about the ability to store a boat or an RV on your property, we may be able to address in that section of the code versus this section.
So,
and we'd be open to that.
All right. So a boat or an RV could be on a hardscape or a softscape?
I think that would be open for discussion.
Right.
Sure.
Okay. All right. I just want to point that out because this will rear its ugly head at some point.
Sure. I understand.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, so we had the public hearing. I am going to go to the public for comment because of the one change with the trash receptacles. It's a change from the public hearing to now. Can you just explain that one small change? Okay.
Yeah, it was the very last element of the very last section that we had suggested to you. Is section 1223, as you described in the header. The new section about let me get to it first. Development standards for homes with exceeding 4 bedrooms. And at the time during hearing, I mentioned to you during Q&A period that this section was formatted based on a couple other sections already in the books from chapter 17. We have a section on cluster development, and we have a section on multifamily development. So we borrowed that framework from section 17, those 2 subsections, and we borrowed the headings. So you saw things like permitted uses, parking, design, et cetera. You'll find those in section 17.1 and 17.2 related to multifamily developments and cluster development respectively. We put in, because there is one in those 2 sections, a trash disposal component that said something about all trash receptacles shall be shown on a site plan or the floor plan of the residence. And I believe it was you, Mr. President, who said, Mike, why would you need that sort of a provision in a circumstance with a single family home? And as I said, the previous sections, the ones we referred to, we based our work on, were for multifamily or cluster developments, many developments, many homes in a small area. And it occurred to me that you were absolutely right. So in any typical single family home, everybody's got somewhere to put their trash receptacles. Most average people have 2 or 3, maybe 4 on the outside. And there's somewhere to put them, near the back shed, behind the garage, in the garage. But we don't regulate where you put trash receptacles in a single family home anywhere else in town. So at your suggestion, we just omitted that subsection completely.
Good job, Jesse.
I was just really wanted to call that out to get some credit. I don't even remember.
No, that's good. That's good. I like it.
No. Thank you. So for the comment from the public on this, so we already had the public hearing. So we typically wouldn't take comment after that, but we do have this change. So for anyone with their hand up, if you have a comment specifically on this change, go ahead and speak on it. But otherwise, we're really just going to take comment on that. So Dan, who do we have?
We have Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I just want to speak about liberty and justice for all. If 5 of my neighbors have a multi-mansion, I'm hoping that's as Pat mentioned, that I may get a special exemption or special exception. Because if my neighbors all have it, then why can't I have it? Liberty and justice for all. So I'm a little concerned about losing liberties. We all had beach houses. That was Narragansett. That's 1950s and 1961 when I first rented a beach house. That was Narragansett. Beach houses. That's no longer Narragansett. And for government control to prevent someone to have a larger home, especially with neighbors, I feel is not right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Okay, looks like that's it from the public. Before we vote, any last comments from the council?
I just want to ask Steve Marcella something just about this bulk ordinance. We've worked on it, the last council worked on it. We have the floor ratios, the bunk room. If we, a year down the road, community development finds that there's, an issue in a particular section, is that like a big nightmare to kind of go in and then rectify it? Because we haven't really lived with this ordinance, and I'm going to vote for it, but implementing it and then living with it and making sure, thank you, Jesse, I'm glad you caught that we're not going to regulate where they put the garbage cans. So, I'm just wondering down the road, do we have the ability to kind of look back at it, or that's it?
Yeah, absolutely. Once this gets enacted, probably things will come up that no one could anticipate. And if you do want to amend it, whether it's a small change or a larger change, it would just go through what would be I'll call it the text amendment process, where any certain text can be proposed, and it would, it would go through planning and come back to the council as the normal process would happen. But it wouldn't, you're not looking at, this process has 7 or 8 different sections. So, if we found a problem with one section, the council can change that one section, or frankly, amend all the sections if it deemed so in the future. Any zoning ordinance can be amended throughout the normal process. So to answer your question in a short version, yes, anything can be changed. And if a minor thing comes up, it can be a text change.
Excellent. I knew that I wanted to hear it loud and clear for the record. Thanks.
All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and take the vote. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Juszynski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Okay, under Engineering Department, number 19 is a motion to award the bid for general electrical services to 2 bidders, Affluent Electric and Controls LLC and EW Audette and Sons Incorporated at their quoted bid prices for a 1-year period. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Second.
All right, seconded by Eva. Any questions on this for John in engineering? Okay, all in favor? Start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Juszynski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 20 is a motion to approve the roofing and siding replacement at Allagash Pump Station to be completed by Abcor Restoration Company, Inc. in the amount of $39,650. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
All right,
Second.
seconded by Eva. Any questions from the council? All right, all in favor? Start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Juszynski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 21 is from the town manager. A motion to read, pass, and adopt as a second reading the appropriation ordinance for 2021-2022 fiscal year. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
All right,
Second.
seconded by Eva. So we have the annual budget. So this is the second reading. And do we have any questions from the council? Any last questions for Jim or Chris?
Yeah, I got a few questions.
Okay.
On Christine. What was the final mill rate residential?
That came in at, good evening, everyone, sorry. We were looking at 0.82%.
So it's $8 and
Oh, I'm sorry, $8.86, correct.
86 cents. Okay, all right, that's what I got. What about the commercial rate?
$11.96.
$11.96. Okay. All right, so yeah, I just want to say that I want to thank the town manager, finance director Christine, all department heads for cobbling this budget together. We just come out of a difficult year and had to take some of this on the chin. And also want to thank the school committee for sharpening their pencils. I also had some concerns with the school funding because of some of the issues surrounding the curriculum and events that are happening throughout the country of critical race theory and gender theory coming into our school system. The last week or so, I've been talking with Dr. Cummings, and he has assured me that any controversial issues or political ideologies, such as wokeism, will be taught under a climate of academic freedom, with discussion and debate. Things will be taught, not indoctrination. This was my main concern. We saw the events happen last week in our neighboring town. So I have full confidence in Dr. Cummins and his teachers and the staff to implement, continue, excel Narragansett as one of the best schools in Rhode Island. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Dan, who do we have from the public?
We have Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I was just going over Chris's levy tax rate sheet. It says here in last year's budget 21, the levy was 47,496,967. And the new tax levy for residential, the residents would be 49,067,847. And therefore, that looks to me to be an increase of 1,570,880, if my addition is correct. Therefore, the residents are paying an extra 1,570,880. That's a 3.3% increase in monies paid by the residents. For whatever reason, it's an increase. And I understand the levy is 1.82% overall. But the residents will be seeing an increase. And I am assuming it's because of appraisals or whatever. But I don't think there's a need for a 3.3% increase. We had that surplus, and certainly the surplus could result in a 0% increase for this year. So this is a choice made. I got a feeling, just like Jamestown, they make a choice. 2%, everybody will go along with 2%, so let's do it. I'm not so sure, especially this year, that we couldn't take money out of the surpluses and say, okay, for this year only, we could have a 0% increase with the usage of the surplus without hurting our staff, without hurting our salaries. Town manager has done an excellent job in getting it down to bare bones. Now it's up to really the council to say, hey, listen, I will forfeit this excessive surplus, and so I can say we had a 0% increase this year during these terrible times. Can I make that decision? You, the council, are making this decision. The manager has done his job, a fantastic job, getting this down to right down to the next, right down to the end. But now it's your decision to maintain a surplus rather than saying, hey, listen, we could have a 0% tax levy. So that's an opinion you have, a political opinion. And I just wish that you would have let the surplus yield a 0%. And then the whole state would see we're the only town in this state that said 0% increase. Wow, that could make the news. I would really smile at that. I would really be so proud of that. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Dan, who do we have next?
Next, we have Catherine Soliberto.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. I want to talk about this tax rate. People don't seem to realize that every time the residential rate goes down, the commercial rate goes down. And let me tell you what the effect of that has been over the past 5 years. I'm not going to name the businesses, but I'll just some I've looked at. One, their taxes in 2015, between 2015 and 2020 have gone down $5,000. Another one, the taxes have gone down $3,200. Another one, the taxes have gone down $1,200. And on top of that is the inventory tax exemption. Over the 4 years that's been in effect, each of those businesses have also accumulated another $2,000 tax reduction. So, while the rate is $8.86 and it looks, nice, the bottom line is this, that the residents are picking up the difference in this reduction in the commercial taxes, the commercial rate, which is resulting in a reduction in their tax bill. I'd say quite a few businesses in town, if not, and say 90% of them, have experienced a decrease in their tax bill between 2015 and 2020. And I don't know any resident who's experienced any decrease. So I think something has to be done about this. This has to be addressed in some way. I don't care if they're only 5% of the tax base. It's just giving relief to people who earn an income, can generate an income from a property, when we as residents, most of us anyway, unless we rent the shit out of our houses, can't generate any income from our residential property. I think there's a serious inequity going on here. And I hope sooner or later it gets addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Dan, who else do we have?
Next, Steve.
Steve, please state your full name and address.
Thank you, Council Member Steve Ferrandy, 44 Sylvan Road. I just want to make one comment about it. This wouldn't be a normal tax season. The one elephant in the room is going to be the disparity in the valuations, with the high valuations that came upon. Whenever there's like this 10-year reevaluation, there's a whole reset in all the numbers. Taking for consideration my property, I use mine in particular, it went up about 34% in valuation. Now, part of the reason is some of these neighborhoods, especially mine and a lot of other neighborhoods in Narragansett, a lot of these investor-driven properties going for skyrocketing prices. And like Catherine said, it's investor-driven. And these people are making money on the property. I don't. I'm fortunate enough to get a homestead also, but I'm looking at about a $900 increase in my taxes. I've never had an increase, no matter where I've lived, in 2 towns in my whole life, that I've had that much increase in taxes. So I think people are going to be surprised once they see the reset on what their actual valuation is based upon, even though it's, we're looking at a 3% increase, I guess, in the overall tax. You can't just multiply the 3% because the valuations resets the whole thing. I just think you should direct the tax assessor or someone to look at this situation where it's investor-driven properties are skewing a lot of the valuations. And it's just something to be looked at, something that I'm going to be concerned about. And I hope, it can be looked at, and I hope that people aren't too surprised when they get their taxes. But I know some people are definitely going. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, that's it from the public. Unless there's any other comments from the council, we'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor? We'll start with Susan.
I'd like to say something real quick. As far as the new assessments, there is a process that you can dispute your assessment with the tax assessor's office. And, that happens, I think, after July 1st. And then it runs through the 3rd week of September, where you can, sit down with the tax review board and, dispute your new assessment. And in some cases, it may be, elevated to where you think should be more in line with what, certainly if your taxes go up more than 2% year over year, you might want to take a look at that. So that's the baseline. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Patrick. All right. All in favor? Susan, do you have a
I just
question?
want to again, just reiterate, thank Jim and Chris and all the department heads for, working on the budget. I'm more than satisfied. So Susan Cicilline, Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Juszynski, aye. Thank you.
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
I thank Dr. Peter Cummins, putting my mind at ease. Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. All right. Number 22, from the town clerk is a motion to adopt a resolution, order and decree on the partial road abandonment of Joy Lane, being the portion of Joy Lane which abuts lots 121 and 146A on Assessor's Plat NR.
I'll
Is there a
move the
motion? All right. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, great. So this is really a follow up to the public hearing that we had already had on Joy Lane that the council approved. This is just the next step that we have to take to officially abandon that road as voted. So any questions? Okay, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline, Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Juszynski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
No hands up on this one, huh?
Nope.
Patrick Murray, aye.
Trustee Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 22 is a motion to approve a mobile food establishment license application for Matt Brown, DBA Butterhead, subject to local and state regulations. Is there a motion?
Motion.
All right.
Second.
Seconded by Patrick. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Does any council members have a question about the application?
Well, Butterhead, so is the applicant there? I'm just trying to figure out, so is it a license they can move around with? It's,
Yeah, it's a mobile.
yeah,
food truck.
so what does that mean? Who can answer that? Like, so they can
Means you're
move,
gonna have a heart attack anywhere in town, whatever he's making up.
Right.
It's not very nice, but what?
So we have 12.
On your head, it's gonna be,
I want to just make sure I
It's a
understand what the
sandwich.
mobile license is.
Actually, it looks like we have the applicant here. There's a Matt.
Matt Brown.
Yep, there's a Matt with his hand up. So, Dan, are you able
He
to
can
tell about
explain
Matt
it.
Brown?
Got him. Yep.
All right.
He can't explain what the
Mobile license.
All right, Matt Brown, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you for being on. So
Yeah.
we just have a couple questions about what you guys will be serving up out of the truck.
Right. So we're basically going to be serving sandwiches. You can check our menu online and social media and all that. So we've been operating for over a month now. We're located in the Peacedale, South Kingstown area. So that's where we are the majority of the time. Usually are at breweries, but we're just looking to get down into Narragansett maybe 1 or 2 days a week.
Right.
So,
where?
that's depending on where we're allowed to be, pretty much. I know there's a list of places and roads and whatnot that we can and cannot be on. So once we get that more established, we're just going to go based off of that pretty much.
Yeah, so that was sort of my question. So I wanted just to understand, so you're in a truck and you're going to move around the town, and I just wanted to know a little bit about where you'd be with selling your food.
Again, like wherever you guys allow us to be, pretty much.
Deanna, can you help us with that, with the mobile
They-
license?
Yeah, they have a list by ordinance of where they cannot.
Right.
They cannot be around the beach. There are several, part of Ocean Road, part of Boston Neck, and some of the pier area that they cannot stop to sell. So they would stop for a customer on the side roads, on some of the main roads.
Janet, to put it in context, we have how many available mobile food truck licenses? 12?
So we have 12 that we can give. This would be number 8.
Right.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
so
that
there's
was
7
what I
current
was.
ones, and this would be number 8, right? Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there like a time requirement on the mobile license so they can just be out there from, say, 11 to 7? Is there any restrictions on when they're moving around to certain streets? How does it? I'm not familiar with the mobile license, like how it really
Yeah.
works.
I'm not sure.
Steve has his hand up.
Oh, Steve.
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, can I have
Help
this.
us out.
You're still with us, yeah.
The license, duly licensed peddlers may operate from 9 to 8 p.m. with the town except in the following areas: Boston Neck Road, Point Judith Road, Ocean Road, Burnside Avenue, Galley Escape Road, Sprague Park, Beach Street, the entire length of Memorial Square, entire length of Mathewson Square, from Causeway Street to Kingston Road, and other public ways. Not to remain in one location, exception, peddlers shall be moving at all times except to service customers, and shall not remain in any location awaiting patrons.
So,
Hours at 9 to 8 p.m.
so just an analogous situation would be like an ice cream truck, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I get it.
Thanks, Steve.
at any point, can you be stationary? Is that what this is? Is that what you're saying?
Can I hear it?
You can only be stationary to service customers.
You have to be on the go, then you
Yeah,
serve and
can't-
go.
That's correct.
No.
Serve and go.
That doesn't work.
Okay, if that's the case, then we probably just won't take the license. We're under the impression that you could be stationary for a specific amount of time. Like in most towns, that's usually. I know there's one that's right next to the Coast Guard house that's stationed there.
I think that's their private property, though. No.
Janet, what about the other licenses we've approved? I mean, aren't those mobile, are those food trucks doing business in town?
Yes, they're mobile.
Okay, so, but for a food truck, you can't really take an order. I don't know, it's not really like an.
Well, they may stop somewhere for a short period of time. Customers come and then they move on.
Ice cream truck.
But they can't like park in a neighborhood, or they can't.
That is correct.
Right. Okay.
It's the same thing as a peddler's license. So they serve their customers and they have to keep moving, correct?
Correct.
So it's now called a mobile license, but it's really still a peddler's license, right?
Peddlers licenses don't serve food.
Yeah.
It's the state passed and some general laws relative to mobile food, and they govern that. I don't know where I'm looking.
So would this license be useful for like different events and that sort of thing, or would they be able to do it even without the license? Like if they're in a parking lot for like an event at a business, that sort of thing?
Yeah, they can go onto private property. Somebody can hire a food truck to go on private property and serve an event.
And do they need this license to do that?
They need to have, they don't, if they're not regularly in Narragansett, they don't need a license from Narragansett. They need the license from the state.
Right.
PBR.
Okay. I just know there was also a food truck event that was held at the beach, I think every Wednesday or maybe one Wednesday out of the month or something. I wasn't sure
Mondays and Thursdays.
if that would also require this permit from the town or not.
Those are contracts with Parks and Rec Department.
Okay.
So that's a no, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So Mr. Brown, we could go ahead and approve this unless you wanted to withdraw the application.
I guess we're gonna withdraw if we have to be stationary. So if that's the case, then we would have to withdraw.
Matt, Matt,
Yep.
Patrick Murray.
How's it going?
I wouldn't give up the ship quite yet. I'd give it a shot. I mean,
Okay.
if you stop serving sandwiches and you got a nice truck and people are standing around eating your sandwiches, other people will, congregate.
Right.
So, I mean, I'd give it a shot. I wouldn't give up the ship here just because of this meeting,
Okay.
I mean, give it a shot. And, I think people see you around and try out. If I see you, I'll chase you down.
I might even try it too, Matt. I just wanted to make sure we understood what we were agreeing to. And it sounds like, we all came to light, even for you, Matt. I mean, you got to be on the go a little bit, but if you're in the right spots, you probably could do, pretty well.
Right. Yeah, that's the idea. That sounds
right.
That's great. Yeah.
So it says Butterhead on the side of your truck?
Yeah, it's got a
It
big head with butter dripping off of it.
All right.
I
Good.
just saw it on Sunday. I just saw it on Sunday.
I'll be
We're
chasing
usually-
you down there.
all right. Sounds good. Yeah.
Good
thank
luck to you. Good luck.
All right.
And
Thank you.
Janet, if you could just give Matt the rules that you stated to us so he knows where he can go and where he can't, because it's
He already
kind of a
has
lengthy
them.
list.
He has them. They were given to him with the application.
Yep. Yeah, we went over them before. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you,
Alright,
sir. Good luck.
Thank you. We do have
Thanks.
some hands up from the public. Dan, who do we have up next?
First, we have Karen Shipshalowitz.
Karen, please state your full name and address.
Karen Shabshaw at 63 Wanda Street. I have some serious concerns about this because on Lower Narragansett Avenue, which is the street perpendicular to the south lot, there have appeared in the past like hot dog stands. And one year there was a t-shirt stand. It was a truck that opened its sides up to sell t-shirts. Now that's a very congested road going into the beach. And like if there are bikers or in my case, a triker, it's very hard to get by if people are standing there in line or congregating there. I would think it also gives an unfair advantage, like some of the restaurants in town that do takeouts, or some of the people that come to the lot on the nights that trucks can come. I'm just concerned about this, like Narragansett Avenue is not on that list. And I think that's a very poor place for people to be, congregating to get food. It's a very busy road. It's also a problem for the first responder trucks. And I think this needs to be clarified, just not let's see how it goes before something happens. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Karen, Dan, who do we have next?
Next, we have Anthony Soley.
Mr. Soley, please state your full name and address.
Anthony Soley, 1435 Iron Mine Hill Road, North Smithfield, Rhode Island. I'm actually the next food truck up. But to your ordinance, I believe I read somewhere that there's up to 4 hours of stationary along Narragansett for the guys on Butterhead's truck. When I was going through your ordinance, looking up what I could and couldn't do, I want to say Narragansett allows up to 4 hours in a single location.
Great. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Okay. Dan, who do we have next?
Next, we have Catherine Soliberto.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. I just want to say that I remember when these licenses were created, and I don't remember any prohibition against stopping. They can't stop near restaurants. They can't stop on certain streets. But as far as, I can't imagine how a truck could possibly take an order and then continue riding. And this would make zero sense for a truck to stop in the middle of a street to take or to serve an order. I don't recall that there was a prohibition against stopping, just a prohibition as to certain streets and not to be near certain restaurants, so you don't provide competition to them. the way this is being described now, it's not even worth $100 a license. So I think maybe some more, we have to look into this a little further, because I can't imagine why any of these people would want a license under these conditions that you're articulating now. Thank you.
It is up to 4 hours.
Okay, yeah, so that makes more sense, you know, because we've been approving these over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I assume that you can at least stop for some period of time, so
He's gonna do it, that's fine.
the 4 hours per location makes a lot of sense. So that's it, right, Janet?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, any other questions from the council?
No.
All right.
Good luck.
I
Yeah,
did
good
look it up. And it looks really good. It made me hungry. I like the Cubano sandwich that's
Yeah.
on there on Facebook.
Yes, Matt, I'm in the Edgewater neighborhood in the north end. I do work from home, so I'll be happy to purchase a sandwich. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Aye, congrats, good luck.
Jesse, you,
Awesome,
aye,
thank
motion
you.
approved.
Hope to see you all soon.
Us as well. Jesse, you, aye,
Ay,
motion
ay,
approved.
ay, ay, ay.
All right, so we have 24 is a motion to approve a mobile food establishment license application for Anthony Soli, DBA Sunnyside on the Street, subject to local and state regulations. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there
I'll
a
second.
All right, seconded by Eva. We do have the applicant on here. So, Mr. Soli, if you had anything else you wanted to speak on in terms of what you're serving, anything like that, feel free. We do have the application now. Do any council members have any comments? Okay, all right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
do you have a question, Deb?
I thought Mr. Soli was going to tell us something.
Well, he doesn't have his hand up. Do you want to?
He's already in the panel.
Oh, here he is. He's got his
Oh,
hand
he's in. Okay, got it. Yeah, Mr. Soli, if you want to describe your truck, feel free.
Yes, sorry about that. We just do takes on traditional breakfast food as well as traditional breakfast foods. And we do a lot of catering. And our purpose for getting the permit, honestly, is just to be a good taxpayer. We're based out of Woonsocket, Rhode Island, but we've had a lot of offers to do catering down in Narragansett, do private events in Narragansett, do some quasi-public events down in Narragansett. So we just want to be a good taxpayer, get our license, and follow suit. There's a lot of myths around food trucks, and a lot of you guys from the towns and cities are still trying to figure out ordinances yourselves. So we just want to make it as easy as possible on all the municipalities we're going to do work in. So that's why we filed for our license.
Great, sounds good, and thanks for the info earlier as well.
Oh, no problem.
All right, so we already took the vote for a couple council members. Deb, you're up.
Yep, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye, good luck.
Yep.
Jesse Pugh, aye, motion approved 5-0. All right, number 25 is a motion to approve a holiday license for Ann Smith, DBA Love Buggies Boutique at 855 Point Judith Road, Unit 5, Narragansett, Rhode Island, subject to state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it looks like we have the applicant, Mrs. Smith, here. So Dan, do you mind moving her over if you haven't?
Absolutely.
All right, Ms. Smith, are you there?
She's just coming over.
Ms. Smith, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi, everybody. How are you all?
Great, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks for coming on. Could you just give us a quick overview of the license that you are applying for?
Yes, it's a retail license. I'd like to open up. It's Love Buggies Boutique. It's going to be a small clothing, mostly women's clothing, accessories, purses, shoes, things like that. I think it'd be something really great for that particular area, seeing how there's nothing like that over there. So I'm not really any competition for anybody. And I think our customers can feed off of each other from the different businesses in that small plaza.
Sounds great.
Thanks.
Any comments or questions for Ms. Smith? All right, cool. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye. Congrats and good luck.
Thank you so, so much. I appreciate you all.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. All right, we have number 26, a motion to approve a peddler's license application for Stuart Fishman, DBA Ocean State Novelty, subject to local and state regulations. Do you
I'll
have a
move
motion?
the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Sorry, so it's a peddler's license. Not really too much other info. We have the application here, toys and novelties. That would be, so it's for the town firework and chamber events. That's what they'll be selling. Any questions from the council? Oh, we have Stu here, so why don't we bring him over? Stuart, you just have to unmute.
Okay,
All right, we can hear you.
thank you.
So it looks like you're looking to sell, do some sales during some of the town events.
Yes, toys and novelties during the fireworks shows. I have worked in Narragansett in the past with the town license for the Christmas events, for the 4th of July events. Congratulations to Steve on his retirement. I've met and worked with him over the years on some of these events.
Great. So do you do this statewide?
Yes, I do this all over New England. Actually, I do it all over the country.
Oh, cool. That's great. All right, guys. So any questions for Stu? No? All right.
But does he have designated events or he can go to any town event and just come sell his stuff? How does that work? Like, go ahead, Stu.
I go to many different towns and apply for licenses, just like I've done with the town of Narragansett. I was in Vernon, Connecticut earlier today. I'm doing a Farmington, Connecticut food truck festival in a couple of weeks. So I go and get a license and sell properly.
Yeah, so you can just, do you show up or do you have to tell the town, oh, I'm going to the 4th of July, I'm going to the, X event, or you just, when you get the license, you can go to any of the town events? I'm just trying to figure out.
Okay, it works both ways. Some events are licensed just with my peddler's permit. Other events, if there's an event organizer, I may have to go through that organization in order to do the event. Narragansett Chamber of Commerce. I'm a member of the Narragansett Chamber, and I pay a fee, even though I'll have this peddler's license. I pay a fee to the chamber in order to work their event.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Stu, for being on.
Thanks, Stu.
You're welcome.
See you this summer. All in favor? Starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye. Congrats. Good luck.
Thank you.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 27 is a motion to approve a miscellaneous license application for a Sunday parking license for Georges of Galilee, 250 Stanhill Cove Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island, 02882, subject to local and state regulations. Is there a motion?
Move the motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Eva. Okay, so this is actually, I'm going to go ahead. Wayne Pimentel, are you on? I don't know, he might, Jim, is Wayne on or did he go?
I released him.
Okay.
Was no more building official matters pending.
Okay, you have some background on this, right?
Yeah, the clerk's office had received a complaint that a permit wasn't issued for the Sunday parking. We just informed, I think it was just an oversight by Mr. Durfee, and we just notified him, and he came in and applied for it, for the Sunday parking.
Right, and this wouldn't change anything that wasn't already happening. Just make it official, right?
That's correct.
Right, okay.
Thanks.
All right, any questions?
No.
All right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Drzinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Murray, aye. Congrats and good luck.
I hope they make it, Georges. Jesse Q,
They
aye.
might, they might gut it out this summer.
Motion approved 5-0. All right, number 28 is a motion to reappoint 3 individuals to serve on the Historic District Commission. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion, but I think you do the appointments, right?
Yeah, we just have to,
I'll
we still need the motion.
Yeah, I'll second. So we
All right, seconded by Eva. So yeah, this commission is a little bit different than the other committees in town. Through the ordinance, it's actually, the members are appointed by the council president, and we don't vote, it's just a straight appointment. So I took a look through the applications, spoke to the chair of the commission, and I'm going to go ahead and make one appointment tonight. And that is for Nancy Adams. So she has a pretty good background in historic homes, in design. Her family is in construction. She owns a historic home in the Pier now, a historic home in New Jersey in the past, and she comes recommended by the chair. So I'm going to go ahead and make that appointment for Nancy Adams to the member 3 seat, which will run until January 1st, 2023. So is that all you need, Janet?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And as we get new applications, we will appoint additional individuals.
There was also on there, somebody had wanted to drop down to the alternate position.
Right, yeah, well, we passed the 2-term limit, and she's served like 2.5 terms already.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Thank you, Janet. All right, so number 29 is a motion to approve the purchase of 1 new 2021 ATV, Can-Am Defender XT HD10 for the police department from Motorsports Nation Massachusetts LLC in the amount of $19,417.99.
I'll move the motion.
All right.
second.
All right, seconded by Eva. All right, so everyone has a little bit of a background on this. We're gonna just go to, actually, what we'll do is go through the council. Anyone who has any questions, go ahead and address them to the chief. I'm gonna start with Susan.
No, I think he explained it in his presentation. I'm all set.
Okay, Eva?
All set.
I actually have 2 questions. The first is, I looked up this vehicle because I was concerned, or I was interested in wanting to know if there were any environmental impacts to a vehicle like this on the beach. It's pretty fragile to begin with, and so I couldn't find really any information, except if there were, like 60 of them going down a beach, that would be bad. So I think the answer is no, but I don't know if you know anything about it.
I don't think it would be any more a problem than the gators they use on the beach now.
Okay.
And it would be the one model we use. Yeah.
And the other question that I had was, I know thank you for your presentation, by the way, it was very useful. I didn't quite understand, like the frequency of its use. Like, can you just sort of speak to that a little bit?
Well, we have
I'm sorry, go ahead.
the movement that we made with the manpower. I think it'll be fairly frequently, if not, probably every day.
Every day.
the weather is decent. And then otherwise it'd be available to us during the off season when it's not used as much. But if there was to be an incident with a surfer or a boat or
Right.
something of that nature, we'd be able to get over there pretty quickly.
So would there be like patrols going up and down the beach every day or just occasionally? I mean, I don't know. It just seems a little
Yeah,
odd to me.
I don't think it would be constant, but it'd be a tool that they would have there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Patrick?
I'm all set. Congrats, chief. I think that's a way to get around quickly and quietly and stay on top of the situation down there, if any. I think that was a one-off, and I think you're ahead of the curve. Congrats.
Yeah.
Although I would have got you a monster truck, but
That would be you, Patrick.
we won't go there.
Mm,
Get
All right.
Bigfoot down there.
yeah.
So I did have a question. I think I had a bit of a different assumption, I guess. I'll say it was an assumption on how this would be used. I was under the impression that it was going to be used when needed. So rescue operations, if something happened down at the mouth where you really needed to get down there quickly. I wasn't expecting it to be used for regular patrols daily. That was the bit of feedback that I've received from the public, that people were concerned about just having officers going back and forth around the beach every day.
Yeah.
It seemed like
Yeah.
overkill to some people and possibly a safety issue with little kids running around. And what I had said was, yeah, I can see that, but I could definitely see it being used to get down to the end of the beach quickly. But now you're saying something a little bit different. So
Right.
not different than what I thought, not different than what you said.
I think that the people don't realize that we're already there and we're riding around, but we're on a gator, and people don't recognize the gator as being police equipment. So we were there yesterday. The officer was riding around most of the day, and I got an email complaint that they didn't see any police. I mean, he was there all day. They just didn't recognize it. Right. So in terms of the safety issue, I mean, we're not traveling at speed. It's something that would be moving slowly through the area. And that officer is also dedicated to the pier. So, he would do a lap with the vehicle and then he'd get out and he'd be heading over to the seawall to do some walking over there. So it wouldn't be.
So it's for the area, not specifically the beach.
It wouldn't be continuous on the beach.
Okay.
And when it gets really
Yeah.
busy, it's going to be difficult to move through on a frequent basis anyways.
Right. Yeah, I never really even noticed you guys on the gator, actually, when I've been there. I don't know. Okay. All right. Thank you. Why don't we go to the public? Looks like we have Catherine. Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. Plenty of public beaches around the country have a park ranger or someone else riding up and down the beach. They look for people smoking pot, drinking, people in distress. There's all different reasons why public beaches in cities and towns have a park ranger usually patrolling the beach. So I don't think this is such a bad idea. The other thing is this, though, I don't think we should take $5,000 from the Dunes Club because I think that it might obligate us in some way to patrol their beach. I would prefer not to take any money from the Dunes Club. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Chief, we do not have any agreement to patrol the Dunes Club property, correct?
There's no agreement for that, but there has been issues in the past with there being activity down there. So we do include that.
Just like any other private property that you would.
Yeah, like any other area
attend
of the town where there could be an issue. And last year we did have a water rescue situation that was, right down there at the mouth.
Right.
Which was part of the reason why we looked into this at the time was, to be able to help the fire department with gaining access.
Chief, though, did you say the Lions Club is a partner for you and there's grant money? The Dunes Club didn't participate in any funding?
They did. 5,000 from the Dunes.
Yeah, they
5,000
did. So I
5,000
actually think differently than Catherine Celeberta just said. I feel like the Lions Club, the Dunes Club, they partnered. And again, like Deb, I don't want to see it every day up and down the beach, but I think if there's an opportunity, and they partnered in it financially, I mean, I think it's a win-win for everybody. I don't want to see it every day, but I don't see why you wouldn't ride down that far either. I don't know.
Oh, boy.
I mean, financially, they put 5,000 out, so did the Lions. I mean, I just think it would be good to use. I mean, you have beach staff and you have the regular beach vehicles. I wouldn't do overkill, but I certainly think, like you said, busy weekends, just another set, if they're riding around the pier and they stop on the beach, I think you have to be thoughtful about that, because sometimes when people see so much of the presence of the police, they think they're waiting for something to happen.
It wouldn't be a new practice. We go down to the mouth now. It's
Right.
just give us
Okay.
a tool to get there
Yeah.
quicker, safer.
Yeah.
When needed.
Yeah.
Chief, I trust your discretion with that new equipment, but it sounds like you're gonna need David Hasselhoff out of retirement on that thing and go in slow motion. So good luck and congrats.
All right.
Man.
All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick,
I,
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. All right, from the town council, we have number 30, a motion to approve advertising the town solicitor position and receiving proposals. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, this motion comes from Councilor Kopeck. You're muted, Deb.
And I said such good stuff. I put this motion on because we'd had a conversation back in, I think it was either the end of January, beginning of February, about whether or not we're going to do this. Unfortunately, that day I had some really bad technical difficulties and I wasn't able to participate in the entire conversation. However, one of the reasons that I voted not to do that evening was because I felt that it was what Mr. Davis had asked for was an evaluation. So evaluations have been done. And at this point, I think that the ability to look for a town, to just look at the possibilities for town solicitor are useful. I would like to pursue that. And that's really all I have to say. Do you want me to read the summary? It's okay.
It's totally up to you if you want to do that.
It just basically says the town of Narragansett will advertise the town solicitor position and start accepting applications. The position should be advertised on relevant regional online publications and job listing websites per best HR practices. The current town solicitor is encouraged to apply. Executive sessions to review proposals and conduct interviews will be scheduled accordingly. And I just wanted to just make one other point. I have had experience with a fair amount of municipal solicitors and school district solicitors. And I would like to have some conversation with additional solicitors at this point in time.
Okay. All right, we'll go around the council for comments and then we'll go to the public. Susan?
I have no comment.
Eva?
Yeah, so I do. So the meeting that we discussed this doesn't seem like the process that we were going to take, which was, I was surprised to see this. I know we were sent out evaluation forms for the solicitor, but my recollection was that we were going to do an evaluation publicly or, prior to actually asking to get applicants, and just, I mean, that's what I remember. I don't know if we recall, I don't know. I remember being there and I remember trying to, not table, but just continue the motion. And I would actually ask to continue the motion for a future meeting and then have a meeting where we would have a motion to have his Mark's evaluation publicly as requested and as we discussed as an opportunity.
one of the things that I would say is I view, I don't know what just happened there, but I view these as two separate things. An evaluation is, an opportunity to explain how one engages with an employee, if they're an employee, which Mark is not, and taking a look at what other potential there is for additional a different solicitor is, or the same solicitor, depending, is something that makes some sense for someone who has, in my case, I've been here for 6 months. I'm interested in seeing what what other folks are out there. That's just how I feel about it, but I don't think they're necessarily related. And as far as the public discussion is concerned, and I'm not a lawyer, I say that all the time, but it's my understanding that the Open Meetings Act requires us, to deal with that issue for people who are employed by the town. And Mark is employed at the will of the town council, and he's not technically an employee. He's a person who we contract with to conduct legal affairs for us. So that's kind of how I look at it.
But that's not what we just, so we were gonna.
Yeah, we did
for the
discuss that, actually.
No, we're gonna, for the opportunity to have the evaluation and
But that the evaluation wasn't going to be the deciding factor about whether we were going to go out and do this. That was just something that Mark requested. And the reason that I voted the way that I did that night was because I felt that that request deserved, warranted attention. Also because I missed part of what was going on in the meeting, which was unfortunate when I went back and rewatched it.
All right, Patrick?
Well, I think Mark's doing a fine job. I don't think, for the love of God, we just lost our town clerk. We're a clerk short because another clerk retired. Lost a building official. We're losing our parks director. And now I understand the tax assessor is going to exit the building. So, with all this people revolving here, I think it's kind of a bad time to switch horses here on the town solicitor. But that's how I feel about it. And I didn't get my evaluation in, but he's got 5 stars right down the line as far as I'm concerned. So I have no problem with Mark and the team, what they've been doing for us. So I know there's people who have different axes to grind and upset about situations that happened in the past or what have you, but I have full confidence in our town solicitor and the team. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we will go to the public. I know, Mark, you're on. If you want to speak, make a statement, you're definitely able to do that now before we go to the public.
Just if you don't mind, I'd prefer to do that after the public speaks, if that's okay with you.
Sure, yep. All right, Dan, who do we have?
First is Paul Zonfrillo.
Paul, please state your full name and address.
Hi, Paul Zonfrillo, 7 Windward Circle. You're pretty much firing Mark tonight if you pass this motion. Imagine walking into work someday and your boss says to you, hey, nothing personal, but we're going to advertise for your job. You can apply for it if you want, but we're not firing you, but we're going to look for other people. I think the right way to go about it is to do the evaluation. And if you decide you don't want Mark anymore, which would be horrible for the town, it would be a terrible thing for the town. Patrick's absolutely correct. He's done an outstanding job. Then go on ahead and fire him. But this doesn't seem right. And it's got kind of like a Dilbert-esque vibe to it, that we're just advertising for your position, but we're not letting you go. So I would encourage the council to table this motion, give him his evaluation, because the people in Narragansett deserve that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Dan, who do we have next?
Next is Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boss Neck Road. You know, it just, professionally speaking, you give the man evaluation. You give an evaluation before you start advertising for his job. Give him an evaluation. That's the professional way to go. Now, from my perspective, what I really like about Mark is he doesn't go around saying he knows everything. He has other so-called expert lawyers in their field that he can call on to give us the expert testimony. So I like him. He doesn't just say, "Hey, I'm the lawyer. I know it all. Do what I say. I'm the lawyer." No, he calls on other expertise, lawyers, values, experiences. That takes a lot of guts to say, "Hey, listen, I got a guy that might be smarter in that area, and I want you guys to get the right information." But that takes a lot of guts to do that. And based on that alone, that character, that method of operation is so superior than everything I've seen in the last 25 years that this is disheartening that we're going through a motion to look for a replacement when he hasn't had an evaluation. That just seems unprofessional, and I hope you would table this until you think it over and behave as professionals from what I've seen in the corporate world, rather than the political world, which I think is being tainted by political reasons or assumed political judgments, that just political opinions. I don't believe I've seen him express political opinions. He's tried to give you the legal opinion to the best of his ability in calling experts when he has to. Please table this and think about it a little bit, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Before we go to the next speaker, I do want to just, I don't know, maybe it's not clear, but I just want to be clear that the council has done their evaluations individually and submitted those to HR. So that has been done. We haven't done a public evaluation, which I don't know if anyone, probably even on this list of attendees tonight, has had a public evaluation done for their job performance. I know it happens rarely, but we've done individual evaluations. So just to be clear on that. Dan, who do we have next?
Next, we have Catherine Celeberto.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celeberto, 48 Earls Court. I read the attachment to this motion. It pretty much tells you what, by charter, our town solicitor is supposed to be doing. And this hasn't happened. What has happened, we hired an assistant solicitor to handle boards and commissions, and we've allowed Mark to hire another assistant solicitor to handle court work, which really hasn't worked out very well for the residents. So I think at this point, given all the business that's going on in town, that we need a full-time solicitor who's going to be in town hall and is going to handle the business of the town. And I mean all the business of the town. Not that any of it's going to be subcontracted out or we're going to hire various assistant solicitors. I just don't, it has not worked out. I mean, it just hasn't worked out. I'm not going to get into it in public, but it hasn't served us well. And I think we have to go back to the system where we have one person doing our business, and that's it, just really one person. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, looks like that is it from the public. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Mark now.
And thank you, Jesse. Well, a couple of things. Well, I was completely unaware that there was a performance review done. No one spoke to me. No one's reached out to me. And if it's submitted to HR and I'm not an employee, why were performance reviews submitted to HR? Just very curious. Deb is the person with the HR experience. So we keep hearing. And in February, she voted against advertising the position because she thought it was only fair that I receive a performance review before my position is advertised. There wasn't any discussion about whether it was required under the OMA, whether I was an employee. It was about fairness. And I've been waiting all this time. Supposedly there were reviews. There's this job description, but I'm sure you all know that Article 12, right, of the charter, specifically section 12-1-13 sets forth my duties. And I'll just, is one sentence followed by 3 bullet points, but the one sentence reads in pertinent part, the town solicitor shall be the attorney for the town and the legal advisor to the manager, the council, and all other departments and agencies. So Deb, when we spoke right after the election, you and I, agreed that we had never met, we've never spoken. You clearly had never worked with me, and you prided yourself on doing research and homework. And I told you that per the charter, I advised the council, the town manager, and the department heads. 95% of my time outside of these meetings is spent working with the people who run the town day to day, which is the town manager and the department heads. You assured me at that time that you would reach out to the department heads that I work with and get their feedback. So I checked with the department heads, and as recently as Friday, you had not reached out to the town clerk, the town manager, the director of finance, the head of engineering, and these are people, the director of parks and recreations. These are people.
Not true. That's not true.
Okay. So the department heads were supposedly lying. And you and I have never worked together. In fact, we had this important issue where you misunderstood the 1990 ordinance that I had pointed out to you a couple of meetings back. And then I followed up with sending you the documentation, and I encouraged you to call me to discuss it. And at the last meeting, to my astonishment, you said in an open meeting that you didn't consult with the solicitor, you consulted with Lori Kelly on the matter.
I never said that.
Deb, do we need the YouTube tape? It's exactly what you said. You said, I read the materials that Mark Davis sent, not once, not twice, 3 times, and I consulted with Lori Kelly. And I made
I think I said that I read the documentation from the attorney that they hired.
That's not what you said, Deb, so we can go back and look at it.
Well,
I'm saying you've had these important issues, the letter to the AG, you've never acknowledged, you never commented, the pension issue, you've never once reached out to me. So I've never personally worked with you on any issue. And despite your interviewing these department heads, which they don't recall, you did a review without ever talking to me, without ever sharing these things. It is mind-boggling to me that after serving 3.5 years, and Catherine is correct, there is a lot of work in this town. And this is a part-time job, right? This is supposed to be about 40 hours a month. We all have legal careers where we bill 4 times what we were paid by the town. I don't get vacation, I don't get pensions, I don't get benefits, I get nothing. And I have donated far beyond for 3.5 years. I've worked 80, 90 hours on average a month. And this is the thanks I get. I don't get the courtesy of a personal discussion. And here you want to advertise the job. I just find it amazing, especially from an HR expert or experienced director of HR.
So I say, right?
So you say. So I just find it amazing that you not once worked with me and you didn't have the courtesy of picking up the phone and saying, I reviewed you. How you reviewed me, I have no idea. I'm just flabbergasted that this is happening. It's really unfortunate and unprofessional in my opinion. So you're going to do what you're going to do. I just want everyone to understand that not one member other than ever picked up the phone to discuss my performance review. Not one. And you apparently on these very important issues have no desire to hear from the solicitor because I haven't heard from anybody. So
except in actual meetings.
on actual meetings, Deb, but a lot of work goes into it before we go into the meeting.
I understand that. And
Well, you never once picked up why didn't you pick up the phone and talk about the pension issue? It's a complicated issue. There's a lot of history there. You didn't
you
pick up.
gave a, I mean, I thought it was pretty clear in terms of the information that you
Okay.
provided, what your position was. I didn't know what else, I wasn't sure that there were, well, I wasn't not sure.
It wasn't.
I had no idea, that there would be more to it than what you already said, because wouldn't you have said that to everybody?
It's just amazing. You didn't pick up the phone, but you had time to talk to Lori Kelly in the library's attorney. It's amazing.
I didn't talk to the library's attorney. I read all of the information I could find.
So
on
you
the
didn't consult
subject.
with Lori Kelly, even though that's what you said that night.
I talked to Lori Kelly, but so
You
what?
didn't talk to the solicitor, but you talked to Lori Kelly. And then when you made your decision, it mirrored exactly what Lori Kelly's been saying.
It did not mirror exactly what
No,
Lori Kelly's been
that's
saying.
true. And while we're on that, it's exactly what Jesse did. Jesse used the talking points that Lori does. So you have 3 solicitors, 2 complicated scenarios with competing ordinances. No one picks up the phone to talk to solicitor.
Well, by the same token, I believe the night that we first had this conversation, you made the comment that I asked you, and I think this is when unfortunately, I lost my technical ability to hear. I asked you specifically if you wanted to be evaluated, why in the 3.5 years that or the 2.5, whatever, however many years, 3 years that you worked with a significantly different council, you never, requested the same thing. And if I remember correctly, your response was something to the effect of, well, you had conversations with them and they made it clear how they felt about you, which is not the same thing as a job evaluation. So, I had 6 months to make a decision about something that's been out there for 4 years. And I did what I could do. And
Okay. I think I said I didn't ask for a performance review because they weren't advertising for my job.
No, that's not what you said.
Okay. Look, I've made my points. I just want people to understand. You guys can suggest that you did these performance reviews and you check boxes off. Not having the courtesy to meet with me and speak to me and review those things and give me a chance to respond to however you reviewed me is shameful. It really is, after 3.5 years of a lot of experience, a lot of dedication and sacrifice. So really not unexpected, but disappointing. Okay. Jesse, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
All right, it looks like we have a few more hands up. Dan, who do we have from the public?
First is Sue Amoruso.
All right, Sue, please state your full name and address.
Hi, Sue Amoruso, West Bay Drive. I really wasn't going to speak because I just thought this was kind of not as a threatening thing, but that the town council would like to explore the possibility of having another town solicitor. And I think from this kind of I was disappointed with this kind of attack to one council member, just the fact that they want to interview other people. And I don't think there's anything in this that prevents the present town solicitor for applying. And you could end up getting the job, but this kind of attack, I think it's something that we should pursue, that we just need to look into this. And I don't think anyone would deny you the ability to apply for the town solicitor position if you want to keep it. And I don't think changing people in town, in these positions, just because other people have left, retired, that means we have to keep people in and can't make any other changes. It just doesn't make sense. So an evaluation's been done, and really, you may want it public, but I think where it was submitted, they should do it with you privately. But I think there's a need, and especially because there was this kind of, I feel it was like an attack and just not okay, I don't know. And then Deb did give you the opportunity for an evaluation because she voted for it. So I just think, I think the town could use this. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Sue. Dan, who do we have next?
Next, we have Mannix.
Please state your full name and address.
Matt Mannix, Colonel John Gardner Road. So first of all, the attack is on Mark, not the other way around. Prior speaker. Many of you have been on the council before. Evaluations take place, whether it's with the town solicitor, the town manager, the judge, one of the judges, or the probate. So that is not the. Got to take seriously the appointment to the town solicitor position. When I was first elected to the council, we were looking for new blood at that time, and despite the qualifications and contributions of Mark McSally, who served in the role for another group, and despite his qualifications, I served on councils that appointed him and others over the years, Republicans and Democrats. Republican Dawson Hodgson, Democrat Patty O'Neill. Different people who were the most qualified for the job. Again, people on the council right now, Susan and Patrick, will remember when Patty O'Neill and Mark Davis both applied for this position. It's all in the public record. They were kind of our two finalists. We were really torn between the two. We liked them both. We appointed Patty. When Patty cut a judgeship, which showed that he was very qualified for the position, he then went with Mark Davis as the. And so now the council is going in a different direction. So that's kind of the history. Now the council is going in a different direction, and we're pretending that there's not a political dimension to this. You all promised earlier in the year in a vote, a 3-2 vote, that you were going to basically review him the second meeting in May. That's what I remember hearing. I was listening to that meeting. You all know I have a good memory. Some of these are different. And so what's happening now is you're seeing you're basically playing politics with the position. You have a Democrat majority now with Kopech, Pugh, and Sicily, who are going to remove an independent solicitor for somebody they want to put in. We've also seen tonight, right, this evaluation story. Seen really the new council member, Deb Kopech, like her dishonesty and her incompetence, right? Lying about the record, dishonest about what happened earlier in the year, and incompetent in terms of following town politics in terms of how you review somebody that in the face-to-face setting. Under the Open Meetings Act, you have to do that review, the person asks for it, in a public setting, right? Public. Not always, sometimes they want it done privately. It's not secret evaluations that trickle into Susan, HR department, not Susan Bonanno, HR department. That's not how that works. So what we see here is a political decision, a lot of in the ball, and it's very disappointing. It's the same old partisanship we've seen from majorities on the council. So don't try to dress it up as
Thank you, Mr. Mannix. So I will just kind of correct that one. We do have Councilor Drzymski, actually of the Democratic Town Committee, with a few other of us. So it's not really a partisan political party ploy going on here. Actually, it didn't even cross my mind for a second that was what was happening. So I just want to correct that. I think Susan and I voted to advertise this position back in February. Deb was the one who joined with Patrick and Eva to say, let's go through the process. As a new council member, she wanted to do her due diligence. And we went, she formulated that the evaluation form. We approved that in a council meeting. We said publicly that we were going to fill those out. And that's exactly what we did. I think that we even stated that in May, we were going to come, revisit this. So it even took a month more than that. I don't believe that during that discussion, we said I don't think the vote was to have a public evaluation. The vote was to do an evaluation. I know Mark had requested a public evaluation, but that wasn't what was voted on. So, you know, I do feel like Deb is taking the brunt of, you know, that as if she did something wrong. I think if anything, she was more process oriented than Susan and I. You know, I have more of a history with Mark, so I've had 2 years on the council with him, and I was ready to go ahead and vote, but she wasn't, so we went ahead and went through that process. So I guess that's that. Does anyone have anything else to say before we vote?
Yeah, I was making a motion to table this agenda item.
Okay, you have a motion to table. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments before we vote on the amendment?
Yeah, I'd like to make a statement. You know, this whole library question, the 2.5 years or 10 years or anyway, when Mark stepped in, I think he's a victim. He's cannon fodder from the last previous council and all the rhetoric and all the interactions, misunderstandings, over exaggerations. And I think Mark's a victim of cannon fodder from all that rhetoric of the past 3 years related to the library. And I think he's been doing a fine job. You're not going to get Clarence Darrow. You're not going to get, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with what he's been doing. He gives advice, legal advice. Council presidents don't take it. Some do, some don't. So I think, and do we really need to do another nationwide search on somebody here? Because you know, we lost all these people recently. I mean, we need to have some type of continuity here. And I think Mark has been doing a good job. I didn't fill out the evaluation, but he's got all 5s. I mean, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, so I'm putting the motion to table this because I did my evaluation based on, you know, my tenure on the town council, which, you know, it's been 6 months, not very long. But in that time, I've actually utilized Mark a lot. I do call him. I get advice because I'm not a lawyer. So I do need his legal advice. And there were a lot of really tough issues that we were tackling as a council. So I really appreciated his advice and his feedback. Any questions I had, he always answered my questions in a timely manner, was always accessible. So I don't think we should be doing a search. And as Patrick said, and that's what I had mentioned prior, the last time we discussed this, it's good to have continuity. There's a lot of institutional knowledge. There's a lot of issues that we have that we've been dealing with the town, and to start from scratch, if we, you know, do find another solicitor, I think it'd be detrimental to the town. So again, that is why I'm making the motion to table the agenda item.
Okay. Susan or Deb, before we go to the public, do you have any comments on the amendment? Okay. Dan, who do we have from the public?
First is Paul Zonfrillo.
Paul, please state your full name and address.
Paul Zonfrillo, 7 Wynwood Circle. Yeah, I'm just also wondering too if Ms. Bonanno should be voting on the solicitor. She was on the other side of the lawsuit with the library, and I don't know if there's any statute if she should recuse herself from it. I guess that's a legal question for the Secretary of State to answer. But I would encourage passage of this amendment. You know, give Mark his review first and then decide what you want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Dan, who is up next?
Next is Joe Lawler.
Joe, please state your full name and address.
Sure. Hi, Jesse. Jill Lawler, Sarasota Avenue. Just a couple of things. I just want to reiterate what Eva had said. The council did take a vote to be able to have Mark be reviewed. Now, Mark asked for a public review, which is in his right to do so. Anyone who reports to the town council has the right to either have a private or public review. He made it very clear that he wants to have a public review. The other thing that came up tonight is you've done evaluations. However, those have not been made public. Patrick, you mentioned that you did not put an evaluation, and then just recently now you said you did. So unclear about whether or not there are 5 or 4 evaluations.
Did not.
Thanks, Patrick. So the public deserves to see these evaluations before you can move forward. I know there was a lot of talk about transparency when you were elected. Let's start seeing some of that transparency, and let's stop talking about the former council. Let's move forward. Let's have some good decisions made by you guys. You're totally capable of it, but bury the hatches, move forward, and keep the town first in mind. And Mark, he's done a great job. You guys should be keeping him on, and you should be happy to have him on, and you should be actually thanking him to be having this conversation tonight. Thanks a lot, Jesse.
Thank you, Jill. Dan, who do we have next?
Next is Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I agree with you. We should table this. We're going to lose a lot of data and a lot of historical research that he has participated and done. We're going to hire another guy, and it's going to cost us another $100,000 for him to relearn and review all his history and try and make decisions in the future. So we're going to lose data. We're going to lose experience. We're going to lose somewhere. There's no doubt about it. I would just like to hear one illegal thing he has done. What has been his mistake? Not a political issue now. He's a lawyer. And unless somebody can tell me, just tell me one illegal statement he has made that would warrant us to fire him. If I could hear that, then maybe you could start on this road. But I don't think so. I haven't heard it. I just always heard him look at the details and request help when he thought he needed some expert help legally. And that to me that's the greatest thing I've heard in my 20-some years around here. The lawyer seeking other persons to make sure his legal decisions are proper and have the right data involved. Therefore, what is the rush? Let's table it and talk about it some more amongst yourselves or whatever. Let's talk about it. Mainly, what is this hiccups? Where is his mistakes? Nothing about library political decisions. No. What decision did he say that was a terrible error? I don't see any. Please table it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Who do we have next, Dan?
Next is Catherine Celeberto.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celeberto, 48 Earls Court. I don't think this motion should be tabled. I think it should move forward and advertise the position as is written in our charter. The solicitor does the work for the town, all of the work, and that means appearing at boards and commissions, going to court, everything else. None of it gets farmed out or subcontracted out. And I think Mark's doing a great job, but I think we need to move forward and hire a solicitor who is going to perform according to the dictates of the charter. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay. All right. I guess I will say one more thing before we vote, because I think Stanley is right when he says, or maybe it was either Jill or Stanley, talking about transparency. And I know that when I watch council meetings, and sometimes this happened with the last council, when council members would make votes and not give their reasons and just be silent, I found that to be a disservice to the public, to not state why you're, making a decision or why you're going to make a vote. So, we did do the evaluations, but I will state publicly a few of the reasons why I think we should advertise the position, because I think that's fair to do. I was trying to avoid it because I thought it was awkward and embarrassing and just not something that I would want out in the public, but maybe, maybe it is the best thing to state why we're making our decisions. So for me, let me first state that I think Mark is a good lawyer. I think that's clear. I'm not going to say he's terrible at his job or anything like that, because it's not true. I think there have been cases that I've been dissatisfied with his performance. Nobody's perfect, obviously, but there have been a few cases that stand out to me. One was early on, actually, in the term for me, when we had a petition from the public. That was one of the library petitions that I thought, in my mind, was very clearly within the rights of the public to file that petition and to go ahead and get the signatures. Mark ruled that it was not valid. We ended up going to court, as everyone knows, and the judge ruled against the town. Again, you can't hold anyone to an impossible standard to always be correct. But that did cost the town a lot of time and money and affected the election in terms of the ballot question. And it was very clear to me that that should have just gone on as a legal question in the first place. Another example is something that just came up, which is the 3-student ordinance, that while we had a public hearing on that, the town council president cut off public comment.
Jesse, may I interrupt you for a second? I do appreciate your candor, but I don't want an OMA filed. This is supposed to be a discussion on advertising and not an actual job performance. I can already see an OMA, being filed.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah. So
I thought
I would welcome a public performance review, but this is, I think, going astray. So maybe you can put an agenda item on for the next meeting, and we can go through this, which I would welcome. But I think we're straying a little too far on the.
I think that I can. Well, here, I guess this could fall into the same bucket. I think it's very clear that I could comment on the performance of a contracted part-time employee for the town. There's no OMA issue with that. There's no requirement to have a public evaluation if requested. It's not the same as the open meetings law, where if an employee is having a job performance review, that's required to be public if they request it. You don't have that right.
No, what I'm saying, Jesse, is I totally disagree with you on that. But what I'm saying is what was noticed for this meeting was a motion to advertise, not job performance. And what I'm saying is you're going off into a job performance. If you want to continue.
I think I'm giving reasons why I'm voting as I am.
Okay, but it's a job.
But that's fine. Okay, I can stop. That's fine. I was.
Good God. Feel free to go. I mean, I'm
My
happy
point
to have
is
this
that.
conversation.
My point is that we all have our reasons. Ultimately, what really matters in this case is that the town council majority needs to be confident and comfortable with the person they have in this position. And if that isn't the case, and I'm not going to speak for other council members, but if that isn't the case, that we have the right to advertise the position, interview, and appoint who we would like to be in that role. Ultimately, that's what really matters. So that's what we're doing here. So we have the motion by Eva, seconded by Patrick, to table this. We're going to take the vote to table. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, nay.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, yay.
You said yes, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Deb?
Deb Kopeck, no.
Patrick?
Moriarty,
Jesse Pugh, no. So we're back to the original motion. I'm going to just ask one more time if there's any additional comments before we take the vote. Okay. So this is the motion.
So there was a comment, and I don't know from the legal perspective of this, there was actually a comment made whether Susan can vote on this agenda item. I don't know, I just would like that addressed.
I believe she can.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor of advertising the position, starting with Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, no.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, no.
Jesse Pugh, yes. Motion approved, 3-2. Okay, we are on to motion number 31. A motion to approve a 2-person police detail along with existing security guards and available beach staff to monitor and provide public safety at the beach prior to Memorial Day as needed when weather dictates. Is there a
I'll move
motion?
the motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, this comes from Susan.
So I actually worked on this with Steve Wright. Again, we talked to the chief tonight about things that we're going to do for the beach moving forward. This motion speaks to preseason predictability. And again, several years ago on a hot afternoon when the beach wasn't open yet, we had some issues. So this motion is asking for the police department and the town beach staff to work together preseason. So if May 4th on a Saturday, the beach wasn't open, that they would have a skeleton staff and have some police presence. Again, if it were raining on the Sunday on May 10th, we wouldn't have anybody there, but just being mindful of having police presence well before the beach opens if we have some hot days. And in Narragansett over the last 10, 15 years due to global warming, it has been much warmer and the season is starting earlier and earlier. And so we have seen on that Sunday where we have people coming down and filling the beaches far before we're really kind of ready. And so I kind of worked with Steve on this just to see moving forward if they need it, it's just a predictable pre-Memorial Day motion.
Okay, thank you. Why don't we, do you have any questions for the chief or for Steve Wright on this, Susan, in terms of logistics, feasibility, anything like that?
I would leave that up to the leadership of the police department and Park and Rec. I mean, that particular Sunday, they had, a skeleton crew down there, but maybe if they have 2 officers pre-season, on the rainy days, they don't come, but on the hot day, they have a police officer, maybe the parking lot, but they can work out the details. This is just to have a plan in place that pre-season we have staff there so they can work out the nuts and bolts of how they want to do it.
Okay.
Whether it's on the beach or in the parking lot. But definitely, I know that Steve Wright has wanted this for a long time.
So this would approve additional staffing then?
Well, it would.
So I agree with you. I'm just thinking logistically how this would work.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, is the police chief still here? I mean, they could shift, if it's a rainy Saturday in May, no one's going to be at the beach, so he doesn't have to put any of his officers there. But Chief Corrigan, if it's a hot Saturday, early May, and he says to his guys, and send somebody down to the parking lots, I mean, I'll have them both speak to kind of how they would envision it.
We're always happy to fill details for Parks and Rec. We've done in the past and we'll do in the future.
And likewise, I think with the chief's presentation tonight, moving forward, Parks and Recreation, Michelle and the team down there will be prepared. The only thing I note to, and everyone knows, is that we rely on high school, college, applicants to fill our beach, and it's very difficult in May to be able to have that skeleton staff, but we work it out as best we possibly can. So that's the only concerns we have, what we call preseason.
And Steve, could you have just a manager or 2 down there like you did on that Sunday, like a few people, and then the police can support you with that?
Oh, well, we've been doing that for years. We have managers and people that are retired working there, getting the buildings ready, and we have a couple of security staff. But on that particular day, the staff that we had couldn't deal with the number of people. It was just, again, that was a very isolated incident.
Agreed.
Happening again.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the council?
I think it's
Eva?
great. I'm all about public safety, and I think it's a great opportunity to showcase that, we are addressing as a council the pre-season, issues that may occur before the beach opens. So I support it.
Great.
So one of the things that I did after that Sunday was I went back and I looked at temperatures in May in Narragansett, which you can find. And, the average temperature for this year was like 65 degrees. Last year was 65 degrees, and in the month of May. And both years had, one day when it spiked. So I don't think that this would really result in a tremendous amount of increased activity on the part of the police or Parks and Rec, but I definitely agree that this is a good idea. But just, we have to be mindful of what the weather's like. And also this year, one of the big differences was that the state beaches in Narragansett the big ones were both open during this period. And I think that that might have had some impact as well. So we might have to kind of keep an eye on that piece as well going forward.
All right. Thank you, Deb. Patrick?
For the love of God, can we just vote for this?
Sure.
All right. Sounds good. Good comments. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline, Banana, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, for that motion.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Chief.
32, a motion to appoint term limits served for the members of the South County Senior Advisory Committee.
I'll make the motion.
All right, is there a second?
A second.
All right, this is from Susan.
All right, so this committee, this is just a housekeeping kind of list that I want to go through with the council. This committee, the South County Senior Advisory Committee, was formed in 2016, and it had a membership, and I'm on the committee this term, but a lot of the agencies have changed. So South County Community Action is now Tri-County Community Action. So there was a name change of an agency. There were terms that weren't put in, so I'm asking for 2-year terms for seniors. And so it's a cleanup of different agencies that have changed over time. South Kingston, it had South Kingston Park and Recreation, but now it's a different, it's called Leisure Services. So if you look at the makeup of the committee, it's all current members, organizations that exist today. And I'm asking the council to approve the 2-year term limits for the seniors. And I think I have to come back at another time and actually mirror the name of the committee just as South Kingston. They call it the Narragansett South Kingston Senior Advisory Committee. So I'm going to be back for that change. So for tonight, I'm asking for the term limits, but I did clean up the language of the agencies, and I'd like to clean up the name the next time, just to make it more current. It was kind of antiquated because some of those agencies no longer had the same name.
I have a couple questions for you, Susan. 2 questions. So our other committees are generally 3-year terms, except for like planning and zoning. So this one you have as 2-year terms. Is that, I might have missed it, the reasoning.
No, so this group only meets 4 times a year. So it's just, there's no staggered terms. There are 2 seniors in Narragansett, 2 seniors in South Kingston. So
Okay.
I was just gonna have them serve for a term, 2 terms.
Yeah, I think
No, I
Jesse's
know,
point
sorry.
was- Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, the other, so our general rule is 2 term limits, like, so you can serve for 2 terms.
Yeah,
But
like,
each term is 3 years. So for this, you have each term being 2 years. So that would be like different than all the other committees. I'm not talking about 2 terms. I'm talking about the length.
I see what you're saying. I mean, I could make it 3. It is a little bit different because it doesn't meet as much. There are the only members of the public that serve on the committee are the seniors. All the other ones are standing committee members. So, I mean, it could be a 3. We could do it the same as the rest of the boards and commissions. That's fine. I'm just trying to have term limits on it because it didn't have any.
Okay. And then the other question is, and again, sorry, I was like trying to read through it as you were reading it. This would only be for the Narragansett appointees, right?
Yeah, so South Kingston has the same exact committee, and they have the South Kingston seniors on it. Yeah, so this is just for the Narragansett side, and they're gonna update theirs, I think, as well.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm open to the 3-year terms as well. I mean, could modify this to make it, you know, the 3-year term. I just want to have a term limit on it is my point.
Right, yeah, gotcha. All right, any other comments from the council? Does anyone mind if I make an amendment to make it?
Yeah, make an amendment to the 3, that'd be fine, and I'll second it. That's fine. I just want to have some kind of end to it too.
Okay, so I'm gonna make an amendment to the summary to limit the appointees to 2 3-year terms.
And I'll second that.
All right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
SCPU, aye, motion approved 5-0.
And I'll
Now
be
the-
back for a name change on that committee, just so you know next time.
All right, we do have a hand up. Dan, who do we have?
We have Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I want to thank Susan for that. I think that gives the opportunity for other seniors to participate and get various ideas. You know, we all have our own ideas and we just pound them to death. I just like to hear a new person with a new idea once in a while. So thank you, Susan, for that. Thank you. I hope you pass this. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. All right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan.
Sorry, we have another hand up. Dan, who do we have?
Karen Shipshalowitz.
Karen, please state your full name and address.
Shipshalowitz, 63 Wanda Street. I want to support Susan because it was her idea to combine the 2 communities to share information. And at the beginning, we met monthly, and I found it very, very productive. It was sort of like an ad hoc committee because it wasn't all Narragansett residents, but I think it only met once in 2019. Then we had the pandemic. And then I found out from Bill Babcock, who was a member of the committee, that they had had a meeting in April, and I hadn't even been notified of that. So what originally started as a monthly meeting, we would share information, like we had Thunder Mist come and talk about all the resources, and the police department would talk about all their resources. And it was sharing information, but it sort of seemed to dwindle because it didn't have the attendance. And meanwhile, you know, the council changed, members of South Kingston changed. As Susan mentioned, some of the people changed. And there are very few opportunities for seniors to talk about resources when they might need more and more resources as they get older. And I just feel it's sort of like an advisory committee. It doesn't have any power to make decisions. It was just sort of sharing information. And the last few years have been, it dwindled. So if we want to restart it up again, I think it's a really good idea because it allows for you to share information. The communities are sort of intertwined as far as like going shopping and CVS and, the markets and stuff like that. So I hate to see it totally dwindle, which it sort of has done in the last couple of years. And I would look for Susan for direction from this, because she really started it off. She had fundraisers and stuff like that to support the seniors. And I think it's an important committee for seniors, and that we do have such a large population of seniors in Narragansett that it can do nothing but be helpful. Thank you.
Jesse, could I just say one thing about it? Just one more thing. So, Karen, thank you for the comments. And one of the reasons I wanted to clean up the language and update the different agencies is because I went to a meeting and it had dwindled a little bit, and the committee itself was looking for the energy. It was a great, we used to have a Narragansett council person, a South Kingston. I mean, it was a good big group, and we shared. And so I am hoping by putting this motion on tonight and talking about it to re-energize the work we have to do with our seniors. So thank you for that, Karen. And I'm hoping that we can kickstart it again, and it can be a great resource to both Narragansett and South Kingston. So thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Okay, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jessica, aye. That's approved 5-0. Now we come to the last item, number 33, a motion to approve the resolution that the town of Narragansett declares June 4th, 2021, Gun Violence Awareness Day.
I'll move the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Patrick. So this is an item from myself and Councilor Kopek. Obviously, the 4th was last
week,
Friday. So this is retroactive. And I think most people are kind of aware of that day and the reason for it, and the orange shirts that you see people wearing to commemorate it. But I'm going to let Councilor Kopek speak on it as well. She has more of a history with it than I do.
I don't have that much of a history with it, but yeah, the objective is to ensure that, that we at least decrease gun violence, if not eliminate it, by coming up with logical solutions to make that happen while not violating the Second Amendment. And this resolution just talks to the issue of gun violence and the fact that it needs to be as much as possible eliminated.
Right. Thanks, Deb. Susan, any comments?
No, I'm fully in support of this resolution.
Okay, great. Eva?
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Patrick?
I can't imagine anybody who's for gun violence, so I'm good with this.
All right. Looks like there are no hands up. So this would be to approve the resolution. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. And I guess I missed a hand, so I will make sure not to skip over that. Dan, whose hand do we have up?
This is Tara.
Tara, please state your full name and address.
Hi, my name's Tara. I was waiting till you had already voted because it doesn't have anything to do with the gun thing. I was just tabled last week. So I thought I would be in old business. So I've just been waiting for that. And I know you're about to wrap up and everyone's really tired, but I'm the representative from Aqua Blue Hotel. And we had submitted stuff that got tabled at the last meeting to this meeting for the renewal of our liquor license that had been treated as if it was abandoned because we got stalled in our renovations at 1 Beach Street with everything and all of the paperwork. Yeah, we've all of the paperwork that we talked about last time and the solicitor said that we needed to get with the good standing has all been rectified with the state. So I was just touching base and seeing what we needed to do for the next steps, and was just, before everyone left, I just wanted to make mention of the fact that I was here and that we have all our stuff and what I need to do so that we can open on time.
Okay. Janet, go ahead.
You need to load the all of the information into Viewpoint. You have to actually apply to the town for the license and put it into Viewpoint.
Would that be something that would be exactly what we had done before online?
Online.
Online, okay. That is what the owner just wanted me to check to make sure that we could submit it online with the payments for this year and last year, and then move forward from there.
And then as long as we have all of the approvals from everybody.
Okay. Is there just an estimate, say if that stuff were to be uploaded tomorrow, what is the timeline from that point? Just so I can relay it to him because he doesn't live in state.
You can touch base with Kathy Craig in the office tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I just wanted to touch base again.
Actually touch base with Sarah Masson.
Okay, okay.
Because she's the one who is now handling the liquor licenses.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, Janet. We'll try not to do any ad hoc, correspondence for you during the meetings. So motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Q, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Have a good night. Thank you all.
Thank you, Janet.
Thanks.
Congrats,
Thanks,
congrats, and good luck out there. Thank you.